Good day, ladies and gentlemen. How about that? Go live and then set up your lighting. That's how we do it out west. All right, let's see. How's it going, Zen?
It's going.
Okay.
I'm trying to post the program right now.
You're trying to what now?
So put this link in our Telegram right now.
Oh, I just did.
So, well, good morning.
Yes. Good morning. Well, I think I have some idea how you're doing this morning. But other than that, how are you doing?
Doing good. Was on top of a roof in 100-degree weather all day yesterday. So that got me sweating a little bit, which after I got off the roof felt pretty good.
Yeah. That's not fun. I started my day yesterday, believe it or not, as I did the day before, at about 7 a.m. with my jacket on, earmuffs on, like heavy winter gloves, and pants instead of shorts. And by the end of the day, I'm down to my shorts and t-shirt. Just that's how the weather is up here.
Yeah, in the mornings it's at least a little bit nice.
Well, pretty exciting like price action this morning, I have to admit. I mean, let's see, I'm looking at the 4 hour and we have almost 5 green candles in a row on the 4 hour. And if you go to the daily, wow, man, it's been up and to the right since the 23rd of August.
Yeah, I've just been loving the volume and volatility, especially because I just know how much that's burning of pTGC and UFO.
Exactly.
Just taking more off the market, sending it to the dead address.
Yeah.
Pretty much an investor that will just never sell.
Yep. I have the secretobank.com pulled up on my desktop for the viewers on YouTube. And when I was updating my records this morning, the volume on pTGC was 181,000 for the last 24 hours, which I'm pretty sure is the most I've ever seen. Me personally.
I would say so too. I don't recall like what it was when we were doing that run up when Pulse was running up. I think it got pretty high. I really don't know how high it got.
I think it got into the hundreds of thousands. I don't know, where it stopped, but I remember Coach mentioning that. So I just updated it, and it went from 181,000 to 196,000. And I took these records like 3 hours ago. So the UFO volume 3 hours ago was 75,000. Let's refresh it. It's now 64,000. Let's see if we can break 200 today. Yeah, people are piling in.
Yeah, the volume, I feel like this volume is a glimpse of what it could be, plus even I think it could be more in the near future, because we're still at the bottom of Pulse Chain.
Yeah.
So our liquidity web is still very, very small, considering the size it will be once Pulse Chain, let's say, goes back to SAC rate, and not even Pulse Chain, but Pulse X. Like, we believe in all these things, and when they do start to recover a little bit, our web will just get massive overnight, and then the arbitrage bots will have to move that much more money. So I'm happy to get a glimpse of this kind of volume and volatility because you kind of can see what it does to our chart because we're a volume and volatility based protocol. But just right now, our liquidity web is actually shrunken down just due to the whole market being shrunken down. But once the whole market comes up, we'll see this amplified. I think it's going to just do wonders for pTGC. Wonders. And I feel like this is a little glimpse of it because since we're volume and volatility based, every time you see volume flow through us, you just start seeing green candles on our chart.
Well, we do have,
because we buy and burn off of that, we get rewards off of that. Our whole machine is actually activated off of that. So it would make sense for us to see green when we do get fluxes of volume.
right. Well, we surpassed $4 million in LP this week. We have $4.57 million in all the pairs between pTGC and UFO.
Yeah, just imagine the RH ecosystem moving back 3x. That would be 3 times that.
Well, I think RH is giving some indication, or there are indications that he's at least getting ready for adoption with the changes we see I saw some changes on DJ Khalid's stream the other day, changes to the X site. And we know that there's been changes to the updates to the PulseX. And I
What
don't,
were the changes to the X? I didn't see that.
There was a disclaimer on the site, apparently, probably about, I don't remember what it was. Maybe it was about the APY, but it was removed. Maybe somebody on YouTube, if you guys happen to know what was removed from the site, drop it in as a comment. Or if somebody wants to come up and say what perhaps they know, I'd like to know. And is that hex.com? I haven't been there a long time. Probably is.
Yeah, he has hex.com.
Well, I have it pulled up. Yeah, I don't remember what it was. He has the diamond on there. That is a beautiful stone. But yeah, we're paired with hex.
He's making adjustments to PulseX and hex, which is good because he's active in making his products improving. Like PulseX got approved this week. It's got the stable swap now. It's the auto route is functioning better and more efficiently. So it's just super awesome to see these improvements happen. He's just not going anywhere. And I think that's a good reminder for everyone that we're in the right spot.
Yeah. And, short of live streaming, that's some pretty bullish activity. Not only are we seeing actual physical changes to the sites and the tools, but to me,
I don't hear you, Banana, if you're talking. I just brought Coach up. For some reason, every time I bring Coach up, it bugs people. I don't know why.
Yeah.
He's still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? Maybe I need to drop out.
He's there. But if you can't hear him, it'd be better to.
Mando, are you speaking?
Yes.
I'm gonna drop out and.
Am I the problem? Am I the problem?
But if you can't hear him, it'd be better to.
Mando, are you speaking?
Yes.
Am I the problem? Am I the problem? I think that's the truth.
You might be
the problem. I hear Coach only right now.
Can you?
Jessica, when are you gonna turn those oranges into aliens again? You look so much better with aliens.
Zen, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear now.
Okay. Good morning, Firestar.
Yeah, so you saw Jessica posted a picture this week of her talking about pTGC in October of 2023.
Yeah, I think it was like October 23rd. She sent a message. That it's kind of funny. We can't seem to be
Yeah.
Like I was saying, when I see updates to the site, and especially when I saw the form going around for updating the logos on PulseX so that it looks legit when you're swapping tokens, I was like, he's getting ready, because he doesn't want new people coming to PulseX and having to put in the contract address and seeing a gray logo with one letter in it. He wants all the logos to be, logofied, the real logos. And that really spoke to me that he's getting ready for adoption.
Yeah, the big piece is that, what everybody else wants, he doesn't care about. When everybody else wants single-sided staking and all the little, pancake swap bells and whistles, he doesn't give a shit about any of that.
Yep.
What he cares about is the things that actually matter for a decentralized blockchain, for robustness, for decentralization, and immutability, and the ability to actually run a real decentralized blockchain that actually is what it says it is, as opposed to a lot of this other stuff. So that's Richard's main focus, is delivering the world a real decentralized, immutable blockchain. Pulse Chain does not run on AWS servers. It's not subject to the cartel in that sense, right? It is decentralized. So having efficiency, those types of things, it's very important.
Somebody just dropped $6,000 on pTGC about a minute ago. We're at $23 million market cap.
The funny thing is it's, you're still well below the previous all-time high.
Yeah, which was 301. I don't know what
Which
the market
was about just under a $40 million market.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, we could be there. I mean, we were in the teens just a week ago. So we could be previous all-time high in maybe 10, 14. I mean, if we continued this trend in 10 to 14 days. And of course, what we might be experiencing is a little bit of supply shock. And like,
yeah, when they don't, when holders don't sell, that's what's going to happen.
And like somebody told me earlier this week, they're like, back in February, $1,000 buy really didn't move the price. But $1,000 buy now, with there being reduced supply, moves the price more. So let's talk.
I don't know about that. If you have more liquidity now, I don't think that it would. I don't think that would actually be correct.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. The weightier the liquidity, the $1,000, the ability for it to move the price becomes harder. It doesn't really matter what the supply is in that sense. I don't believe.
Yeah, I actually agree with Mando. Like, as our liquidity gets thicker, then, like, say $1,000 buy wouldn't move the price or the chart as much. But if it was thinner, then absolutely it would have a more significant impact on the price.
Okay, maybe I misunderstood the thought on that one. But last,
right now, it's important to recognize that our price has been going up, but our liquidity hasn't been going up as fast as our price due to Pulse Chain and our connected assets going down in price. So that might be a reason why it's looking that way, Banana, and maybe that's what they meant. But as soon as Pulse Chain kind of jumps back up to where, let's say it was in February, I don't know where the price was in that exact time of Pulse Chain, but just imagine where our liquidity would be. Let's say it's 2x from here. Well, just overnight, if we bumped back up to 2x, our $600,000 pool would be $1,200,000. So then that much more money would have to, pretty much twice that amount of money would need to come into our pool to keep price up.
Yeah, and by the way, it's at a $25.81 million market cap. And even though RH tickers are down, we're looking at the Atropa ecosystem, which we have liquidity pools with, up. And just so, for example, the PDI pair and the Teddy pair and the Atropa pair exponentially have gone up in value. They've massively gone up in value over the last few days. So those pairs are going up.
Willie Belong said there were two $7.5 thousand buys and a $6,000 buy since we started the show.
So you remember when we had a conversation, Ferry, and I know Prince and many people in here, we were in DC and we were talking about the confirmation bias, the larger people with larger bags of Pulse Chain that are down, maybe even from sacrifice. At some point, those individuals, they start feeling okay about moving even that down pulse into something like pTGC, but they need a confirmation of a legitimacy,
Okay.
So the bigger the market cap, the less slippage because of the larger the liquidity pools. But at the end of the day, at some point when you're watching your assets just sitting there kind of flatlined, it's like KDP. She mentioned last night, hey, I've got 40K. What should I put my money into? And, nobody can tell anybody what to put their money into, when she's asking the question. And I was like, hey, just consider pTGC. And she's like, well, why would I do that at a local top? And I said, well, I didn't tell you to buy it right now, this very second. Okay. But if you would have bought it when I tweeted that, it's already up another $4 million market cap in under 24 hours, right? So you get, this is the phase where the higher market caps start drawing in the larger players. It's just that way.
Well, good. Larger players means bigger purchases and larger green candles.
Well, if you've got $1 million worth of Pulse Chain, what is just moving over 1% of that? It's $10,000.
10 grand.
It's nothing, right? Okay, now you're in the game. Now you're feeling a little bit better about something that is going up. It's massively connected to Pulse Chain and everything RH. And to me, that is the amazing part of it, is that you're not buying something that doesn't care about RH or RH products. You're buying something that's all that they care about for the most part. They're the perma bulls on the system.
Right. Lemonade is asking in the YouTube chat, say we're coming up on a year since the release of pTGC. What is the current and projected APR on staking? So I have pulled up on the screen my records. So this is the combined APY for holding and staking. Yesterday, it was 9.23%. The day before, it was 10.18%. And the days prior to that was basically in the single digits. And that's the combined APY for holding and staking. And because this is a volatility and volume-based token, we're going to see as Pulse becomes more volatile, starts moving up, and those ARB bots are moving funds back and forth more frequently, this APY should increase. I hope that answers your question, Lemonade.
Yeah, and also remember that the APY is great, but it's the X's that change people's lives in any crypto. And so when your APY is doing 50x, 100x, 300x, 400x, right? It's not just that you're getting a 10% or 50, which in the real world is great, by the way. But that the rewards that people have been holding and earning this entire time, they've also seen that amount of X, which would imply your 10% APY multiplied squared, right? It's much more powerful than that.
Yep, agreed. So Lemonade or anybody, if you guys want this spreadsheet, just go to the Telegram and type in /spreadsheet. And then you go to the pTGC rewards estimator and UFO rewards estimator. And in these orange fields, put in your values and it will show you an estimate based upon yesterday's volume, what your value would be. And that's a free tool for you guys. /spreadsheet.
Dan, I'd love to hear just some comments on that. You have a great way of speaking about it as well.
Yeah, so obviously what I always say is you come for the X's, you stay for the APY. But we're not coming to crypto for APY. We're coming to crypto for the X's. Majority of people are coming for the X's. Mm-hmm. I personally think pTGC has shown people tons of X's. So, and even if you look back, like let's say people who have been earning APR in this protocol for 6 months. Well, let's say they're up, I don't know what they're up right now, but let's say it's 10x. Well, that 10% APR that they received 5 months ago is now at 10x. So technically, the APR that they were receiving back then was actually 100% APR because it's the 10% 10x. In the real world, you don't get X's on APR because none of your investments are going up in X multipliers. That's what's so beautiful about crypto is you get the best of both worlds. You're actually getting X's, or not all cryptos pay APR, but specific crypto RH products as well. This is what we love about them. You're getting APR in a safe manner, keeping self-custody, while also getting X's. So whatever APR you get, if you run that protocol up 100x, you just 100x your tokens and your APR. Like I don't think you can ask for much more. If you look at the APR people receive from X, like in the early days, it's like they 10,000x that shit.
Exactly.
It's beautiful.
Will it? Go ahead.
There's one thing I did want to point out about this. I think a couple of months ago, I started talking about, because we're talking about pTGC, and I brought up the X multiplier thing. And I'm like, guys, pTGC can easily do a 100x. Like, I don't want to shoot numbers up, but mathematically, there's no reason why it can't do much more. I said, all we need is a 10x on pTGC and a 10x on Pulse Chain, and everyone in right now has done 100x with a project that has burnt liquidity, a community, audited code. We're not going anywhere. Like, we literally are buying up RH tickers every single week with our DAO and adding more LP. I don't know anyone that adds more LP than specifically just at the beginning of the launch. We're doing it. Like, I think we're killing it. But so back 2 months ago, I'm talking about, hey, I think it's possible for us to do a 10x on top of Pulse Chain. I think Pulse Chain could do a 10x. That's 100x for us. Anything more we do is more. Anything more Pulse Chain does is more. just in 2 months, we've done a 5x against pulse chain. To hit this small milestone, we just need a 2x more. We've already done our 10x against pulse chain. We've already hit that goal in 2 months. So then all that would need to happen is pulse chain needs to do a 10x. We would have already hit our goal of 100x when I started talking about this X multiplier thing just a couple months ago. We've already done a 5x out of our goal of 10x. Like I said, that's a milestone. That's not a finish line. But this is my example of these things, these numbers that I keep bringing up. I'm setting very, very modest goals for us that we can hit very soon. I'm not shooting these moon boy numbers. These are mathematically very, very easy to reach. We're already halfway there. It's outstanding. I'm like super proud of the community, spreading the word, believing the math, educating themselves on the protocol, but like, we're killing it.
Well, it said
as
what
far
was
as pTGC goes, we've already done half our job.
Well, it said what was removed from the hex site was something about hex on pulse chain being the true hex. That's what was removed.
That's very interesting. That's probably why the E-hex was going up this week and P-hex wasn't.
AS says he can't.
Speaking about hex, speaking about hex, I just want to make it very clear that, pTGC is super bullish on hex. And it's proof in the pudding is in the liquidity pools of UFO and pTGC. I think our next purchase and LP ad for pTGC is 100 million pulse swapped into hex. So, any narrative out there that's floating around from personal individuals trying to make comparisons without the proper nuance, it's just, those individuals don't speak on behalf of the protocol, or they don't understand it all the way yet, because there's not a bigger bull on hex and RH products than the pTGC ecosystem. That's why we're buying as much as we can of it at the bottom.
Right. Where can we find the audits? Is there a link in Dex Tools?
I know the pTGC audit is in our chat. The /set we put in when people enter. It's like just an overview on our ecosystem. It might also be on our website if I'm not correct.
Yeah, I'm checking the site.
And then UFOs, I know isn't there, but I can access it. And you might be able to search Solid Proof's website. I think they even keep documentations of all this stuff on file as well, because we got our audits through Solid Proof.
Okay.
But I guess back to what Amanda was saying real quick is I'm pretty sure UFO has the biggest liquidity pairing with EHEX out of every token on the Pulse Chain blockchain besides PHEX and PLS. So other than RH itself. I think that's a pretty easy way to see that we obviously believe heavily in RH tickers. We're the biggest holders.
Well, I just think it's important to make sure that everybody knows that there's a distinction between people who are purchasers of pTGC and go online and start sharing it, and what their outbound messaging is personally, which can be good, can be bad, can have a great amount of nuance, cannot, versus what the methodology and the actual reality behind this protocol is. So no one speaks on behalf of pTGC out there in internet X land. It's not coming from official socials. What you do is you go and you look at what pTGC is actually doing as opposed to what people are saying. Okay? We're buying the shit out of hex.
Well, let me just put numbers behind the mastermind that behind it. So in that EHEX pool, there is 75 million EHEX currently. And if we look at the PHEX liquidity pool, we have 31 million PHEX. So I think we're pretty bullish on EHEX and PHEX. So
Bingo. Thank you, Coach.
you're welcome. That's why I'm the numbers guy. But well, and then let's see. Let's look at pTGC's liquidity pool, which I think is almost 100% burnt. On PHEX is we have about 7 million PHEX of burnt liquidity. So 53K of burnt liquidity with PHEX. What a concept.
And another 100 million pulse being thrown at it shortly.
Yeah, we have 100 million polls coming out maybe every 3 days for the next 7 days. Yeah. So we have like 400 million polls coming in the Dow in the next week.
So I say that just to make sure that people understand, that the reason why Zen came to Pulse Chain is because of Richard and everything, all things Richard. Super bullish on everything that he's created, and I think it's obvious that PEX is a massively undervalued product and code and cryptocurrency that's been flawless for 4 years. And it's down because of certain nuances, but I mean, do you buy it tops or do you buy it what in the street bottoms? I mean, it really is that simple.
In order to find the audit, go to the Telegram and type /audit.
Yeah, after the space banana, I'll look for the UFO audit too. I know I posted it at one point, but maybe it just never got saved anymore.
Sure.
I know it definitely got posted when we went live, but it probably just, there's so much going on in that week that it probably just got lost in the motion.
We should probably get a link to that on both sides of the site, just so people just can click on it and see that it's there.
Yeah, I just need to find it in my files and bring it over.
Well, does anybody have any questions? Does anybody want to come up and speak?
The Moon King wants to come up and speak. He's been on fire. He's been on fire the last couple of weeks, man.
We have a full space today.
Win local top.
Seriously, right?
Is it this week? Is it next week? Is it the week after? Is it the next week? Is it the week after? The month after? Year after? Just let me know when it's
Well, everyone that keeps saying that keeps regretting it like hours later. We're having fun right now, obviously.
Well, looking at the chart, the pulse chain, we've been having fun since day one.
Damn right.
Oh. All right, I don't even know what you guys are talking about. You guys are probably having a serious conversation, not coming in just.
Nah, man, we were kind of in the middle of a transition. That's it.
You know, it's funny about that, though, Roots, is obviously we have been moving up a ton. And a normal person that reads charts and doesn't like understand how these liquidity webs and bonded liquidity works would think, oh, yeah, it is overbought right now. But the problem is everything we were bonded to was oversold. So even if buy pressure slowed down on pTGC, our bonded assets then become bought again because they were oversold, and it just pushes up to us to newer levels and newer levels and newer levels. And that was technically what just happened right in front of their face. And it's sad because they're telling people to trade, and then they tried to trade their pTGC back, and then the price just left without them. And that kind of irks me because I'm not really a trader guy at all. I know a lot of people are, but since I was educated through a lot of RH's stuff, I'm more of just find the right products and hold them into the bull run and you're good. And this person who is a trader convinced them to trade their bags, and then they got left behind. And that's ultimately what happened. You have to not only look at the asset that you're buying is overbought, but everything it's connected to. Are those overbought or are those oversold? Because those were as oversold as they could have ever been. And as soon as those start getting bought, it just sends us to crazy new numbers on top of that.
Well, it's not even, I wouldn't even like stop there. It's really actually, I'm in the ballpark of people will chase green candles. So even if they do trade, or they tell people not to buy something until this, and that, everyone's looking at green candles. So when that does kick in, even if you don't know, it's almost like leverage trading, where you have to buy once you get liquidated. Well, there's like a mental liquidation where you want to buy something and the green candles keep going up and you have to buy it. And that's what you're seeing also, because all these people listen to certain people and they assume it, but then they realize they're wrong. And what do they end up doing? They end up buying the green candles and promoting it anyway, which makes it happen even crazier. So it's like, it's almost like a double whammy where they get wrecked and then realize, oh crap, I'm wrong. And then they are buying. I'm telling you right now, those people saying they're not buying the local top, sooner or later they will buy in because they will realize they're wrong. And most people that are in TA would not say, I was wrong. I mean, look at Richard himself. He would say he's wrong. So most people won't say they're wrong. It takes a very special individual, especially when it comes to TA, to say, I am wrong. There's something I don't understand about this. A long time ago, I said, I'm not even trying to do TA on like pTGC because there's just too many different moving parts. And it's not just trading versus other people. TA is a measurement of buys and sells of individuals. When you don't include, when there's other things that's included with individuals, you really gotta you really gotta dig down into the actual protocol to understand what you're doing, because it does affect your TA. It doesn't follow just lines.
The other day when you called PDI, like on the day again, like you always do, I was in my living room and I'm like, and this is going to what Zen just talked about. You on the live stream, and I'm like, he just not. It looks like Pete, that Jatropha system's gonna turn around. You just hit it on the head as usual.
Yeah, did it with Teddy Bear, did it with, because you can.
But my point is, when I saw that, the first thing I thought of was what Zen just talked about. We're heavily bonded with that, which means that pTGC is about to go on a massive run too.
And that's why I laughed at that individual that said local top, because I was like, he does not know at all what he's about to get wrecked on, and his whole TA analysis might come to an end with this one. So
yeah, there's too much going on for these individuals on Twitter, on X, to be trying to do some kind of PA, but they don't understand how the entire liquidity web is set up and how the mechanics work in synergy with one another. So they're just trying to do like basic TA with no understanding of anything else. That doesn't work here. It just
They're
doesn't.
fake. I'm gonna tell you straight up where they are. You know, I'm gonna be blunt. I'm gonna be very blunt. I'm not gonna mention their names, but I'm gonna be very blunt because that's who I am. That's what I do. They're bored. They have nothing else to talk about. So therefore, the only thing they talk about are the things that are going up the value. Whether they want to fund it, that's the only thing to talk about because it's the only thing grabbing attention. So someone who wants to be an influencer, someone who wants to be an analysis has nothing to talk about. So they will bring up something to make themselves sound right, to have themselves somehow grab more followers and more attention. But if you want to be an influencer and influence a community on the long term, not to say long term, there's people who will make a call, they'll get it right, and short term they'll be fine, but long term you'll find out they don't really know anything. It's okay to say, I don't know about this project, but based off of TA and TA only, this could be a local top. That would save you. But to sit there and say, this is the local top, you should be selling now, you shouldn't be buying off of this, and this. It's just like, all right, you're about to get wrecked here, and it's not to be very obvious. So that's what's going on really in this whole ecosystem is people are running out of stuff to say because they're really not natural or good influencers, and they're wrong more times than not. And the problem is when you have a big community that are on crypto Twitter and no one's doing anything else, they have no choice but to listen. And then they're going to make a financial decision based off of what they think is good. But in reality, everyone's just bored with wrong information and they won't listen to the people who has the information. So you give them green candles and sooner or later they will listen.
Yeah, that's what's starting to happen now.
But I have to give it to the community. Night and day difference from that talk that we had the other week about engagement. You see the world of difference, how things can change in a matter of days, weeks on engagement and people just talking and being loud.
Agreed.
It works.
Agreed. Thanks for that vote of confirmation, Moon King. And on that note, AS asked, he says the alien invasion has started. What can we do as the community to help? Well, after this space, we're going to jump on Telegram into the voice chat and we'll have a chat about marketing. Any ideas you guys have, any things you're doing that's working successfully, we want to talk about it. So, and that'll be after this space.
I think Moon King could probably answer this question the best if you don't mind answering that.
What was that again? I stepped away from the phone. Sorry.
Oh, I was saying that.
Community members asking what the best thing a community member can do to support the Grace currency, pretty much, as far as like engagement or just commenting on Twitter. What do you think is really the best thing they could do for working for their backs? I believe
talk about it. Hold a spaces call. Don't just hang out into Telegram. Telegram is a very private scenario. Telegram is very private.
Yep.
If you want more people, you gotta go public. How much money can a private company actually make? Will a private company make as much money as Tesla? Will a private company make as much money as Microsoft? No, because they don't have the access of economic energy as they do, because their access is to the whole world, pretty much. A private company isn't going to have and get as big as a public company. So therefore, you got to go public. And the only way to go public in this space is two ways: YouTube or Spaces calls, Twitter. So you do have to, back in the day, it was okay to just do Telegram. Nowadays, crypto Twitter kind of really endorsed that as Twitter is the spot to get more people in there. And then what you do is you don't have to be the biggest influencer. You don't have to be the biggest person. It's very easy to just like have your friends, hey, let's 5 of us have a pTGC conversation and just talk what we're going to talk in Telegram. And we're just doing it. We're just speaking, like we're being vocalized, like you're just speaking out instead of typing. So that happens. And then a couple more people join, and then all of a sudden, another couple more people join, and all of a sudden, you've got 50 or 100 people in there. So how many of those 50 or 100 people are actually in pTGC? It's that simple. Just as much as we changed marketing 2 weeks ago, how many new people are in pTGC just because the marketing has changed from Telegram to Spaces calls or just changing the rating? It changes them out, and all it takes is 1, 2, 3 more people, because those 1, 2, 3 more people become successful. Now those 1, 2, 3 people are now talking to other people, promoting their bag because they're getting green in the market of red. And what do you know? Once again, people will buy green candles. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much you hate it. I don't care how much you of a Richard Hart only maximalist you are. I guarantee you 9 out of 10 Richard Hart maximalists know about pTGC and or bought pTGC and just not saying anything. There are a lot of hypocrites in crypto, and I promise you, they are looking. Richard Hart himself is looking. Richard Hart, I've always said it. Richard Hart knows everything about PDI a year ago. Richard Hart knows about Teddy Bear. Richard Hart knows it. He knows about pTGC. So he's the maximalist of all maximalists. Has he bought? Highly doubt he bought. But all these other magazines that need money, they say they're rich, they say they're retired, and we're finding out they're not. I guarantee you they are looking and or boss.
So I was going to ask you to bring that up, B, because, we speak about that all the time. And on Pulse Chain, and, coming from Hex and the community on out, there's always been this thing where you're like anathema if you tweet out that you're actually interested in something other than the tickers that RH made. But that actually goes exactly against so much of what crypto has envisioned. It goes against the very philosophy of crypto, right? We're on Pulse Chain. We're building on Pulse Chain. Everything that all of our community has done has been on Pulse Chain. So we talk about it a lot, but the philosophy of, look, the sacrifices are over. Hex has been running for 4 years perfectly. It's probably one of the most undervalued assets in all of crypto. Yes, that's why pTGC buys the shit out of it every day. But it's okay to talk about other things that you like in crypto. Freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of movement, freedom of everything. So we don't have to, this narrative of, we're not allowed to talk about anything that we like for fear of some community retribution, while we watch everybody from the OG community, not everybody, but a lot of people, sacrifice after sacrifice, launch after launch, this after this after this. Come on, guys. It's time to get real. It's time to get real. That's all past. So I just like, your thoughts on that. Because it is a topic we have to move forward now from that narrative. And I think right now is the time that needs to happen.
We are in a society within crypto Twitter that it's all about being. I've been saying this for a long time. We've talked about this, man. Everyone wants to be in a gang, and that is the issue. And I've always said that from day one with hexagons. It's like a take out the word hexagons. This is the only financial industry where people care about the quote quote community. Now, community does mean a thing, but I think this industry takes it way too serious. Wells Fargo would laugh at you guys if you literally start calling yourself hexagons. You took that to a CEO. Like that idea to me is such a joke. You know, it's not even funny. And pTGC kind of gets away from that because it looks at as financial institutions. What works, what doesn't. We invest in it, we bond it, and then therefore we make money off of it. That's just what it is, and that's how it is. Like the idea of this gang mentality starts when you say, it's me versus you. That's basically what you're saying. And it's just, to me, that's part of the reason why they're like, oh, I'm not going over there, or I'm not looking over there because they're not purebred, they're not this. And that's the issue. And that affects their finances, believe it or not, because they are so willing to be, I'm this, I'm that. They don't even see something bullish in front of their eyes, and they forgot they came here for money. That now all of a sudden it's like, where's this, where's that? Don't go over there. Don't do it. You're a traitor. You're this. That sounds like a gang, and that's a gang that doesn't want to make money, and their financial situation struggles because they see something going green, and then they don't even know how to respond to it, but in a negative way. And that's the issue. And that's just here in Pulse Chain and X. It's all of crypto is that way. You're saying it with meme coins, with Narrow. You'll say it with Narrow. Oh, we're the first. Oh, we're the first. Oh, we're the like, you're splitting economic energy. Do you not see that? Like, make it one and just freaking moon the crap, and everyone wins.
Yeah, well said.
It's all of crypto. It's not just here. It's not just Hex and Pulse Chain. It is all of crypto. But it's definitely needs, the ones who realize and just, all right, this one works. This one's winning. Green candles. That's why I made that post last night before I went to bed. I was like, everyone's crying that the bull market's over. Like, I'm seeing nothing but green in my portfolio. Why? Because I'm freaking seeing what's working in crypto right now. And those are the ones that are going to freaking go ultra green when the bull market comes. And then I'm absolutely smashing it and killing it. But if you're not on that same level of thinking, you're either going to, one, get lucky and do well. And that's a very small percentage of people. Or two, the majority of people aren't going to do well in the long term in crypto because those are the people that usually round trip their shit because they're such involved in the gang. And those are the people that you see right now begging for money, asking for fundraisers, this and that. Because those same people were hating on all the protocols that are going up and to the right over the last 2 years.
Yeah, and if you are that in mindset, there's just no reason to be. There's no logical reason to be. No one's trying to convince anyone to take any amount of their portfolio and do anything malicious with it or frivolous with it or stupid with it. But me as kind of an RH, and B knows, like I'm an RH disciple, 1000%. I love Richard Hart. I love everything about Richard Hart. I don't love the weird, the weird stuff, some of it. But if you're a maxi on Richard's Pulse Chain ecosystem, which includes all of his tickers, that's what pTGC is. It's a maxi too. I mean, in the sense that the large majority of its liquidity is bonded with everything that RH has created. And then, like what B's talking about, and B always wins, is because he knows how to not be emotional about his bags. he knows how to actually talk down on his own bags if the TA and the volume and the metrics are actually turning down. How often do you talk to somebody who's willing to be honest at the detriment of their own money? It's very rare, but you have to do that in order to win in this type of volatility in a marketplace like this. That's why pTGC connected to Teddy Bear and connected to Atropa and connected to pDie. And if you look at the liquidity web, it's connected to everything RH and everything amazing speculation on Pulse Chain, right? That's how you win. You speculate. You have fun. You don't have to be sitting there like some cult member, hoping with a wish and a prayer that your one thing goes up in crypto. You don't have to do that.
Yeah, you don't have to be against them. You can be on their team. That's like the beautiful thing about tying liquidity pools together is once you tie your liquidity together, you're actually now working as a team to hit 1,000x, because as we go up, we pull pDie up. As pDie goes up, pDie pulls us up. So now we're a team working towards a goal instead of pinning ourselves against each other.
Yeah, I think cumulatively within the pTGC ecosystem, I think Coach just came out and said between UFO and pTGC, I think, what did you say? We've got 20 million. I think we're about to purchase another 100 million Pulse worth of hex. I think today or tomorrow, and bolster that LP. So this is a system where if you like the things within the liquidity pool, you like pTGC. Just look at the liquidity pool. But that's the mindset, guys. We got to move on from the sacrifice set and realize that we're 4 years into hex, and we're years past the sacrifice, and we're moving into the next phase of Pulse Chain, which I think is going to absolutely explode because of how Richard designed Pulse Chain. And it's very important that you think with yourself and adjust, where you're at. Because when you see all these guys, look at RG3. I love RG3, right? But RG3's talked about all kinds of other things. He was. I was on the live stream for 2 hours when he was talking about GIF and permaGIF. Matty launching his own coin. All the people that we were supposed to be like Maxi only, right? I mean, so I'm just saying, it's definitely time to have fun on Pulse Chain.
Yeah, it's gonna come down to one thing only, man. Like, people are afraid people are afraid of change. So I can understand why it's hard for someone to do this. I think the worst part of it is that most. All right. I think the one thing that's worse is someone that buys a bag and then won't work for it. That's the worst. That's to me, and I know there's people out there that bought pTGC, Teddy Bear, pDie, but won't say anything, or they talk against it. And that's where it's like, it gets interesting. But as a potential investor, this is what I did in order to get myself on the right pace back in 2016, back in 2017. So I looked at my portfolio, which was round trip pretty much, and I said, what could I do different? And that's the key. What did I do wrong this bull market? And what can I change this bull market to make it? And the one thing that I did, and I say it over and over and over again in my tweets, I actually unfollow people. And people are afraid to do that. You should see my following. My following goes up and down like crazy because I unfollow people and because I talk shit on this person and blah, 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 blah. But you know what? I will not see negative based off of what I think that's working, and what I know is working. So if I see somebody giving incorrect information multiple times with no success, if you can give me more than one coin that you've been successful on, and you're right on one coin, and hey, I 10,000x hex, but I got nothing else to show for it. That's all I have, and hex is not working for you in the last 3 years, I'm probably going to unfollow you, because then you just become a cheerleader. So anything new that comes out after that, you are pretty much so sold into your bags that you round trip that you're not even looking for other coins that can actually make yourself a potential millionaire. People are becoming instant millionaires in this market that we're sitting right now, I would say on a weekly basis. So it can be done. Just within pTGC, it's been done. Within PDI, it's been done. Within Teddy Bear, it's been done. Solid X, been done. Titan X, it's been done. You name it. Everything except for Z. It's pretty much been done. But if you're afraid to talk about it and or get into it, you're losing out on your chances to win. So you really have to, it really starts with the individual themselves. They have to be able to just sit down and say, okay, what can I do? What do I have to do to change? Who am I listening to? Is the person I'm listening to, let me break down exactly what they've been talking about all this time. Have they had any success? If you can't say yes to that person, why are you listening to them? You really have to ask yourself that question. Why are you listening to them? There are people who say, B-Roots, you don't have enough success, so I'm unfollowing you. Sure, go ahead. That's fine. That's what you believe. That's what you believe. If you think that's right for your portfolio, go ahead. Please do that. Like, you're your individual self. It's okay. I'll be okay. But if you're not even doing that and you're just listening to incorrect people over and over and over and over and over again with no success rate, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. And in the end, you're the only one to blame.
Yeah, we want to just interlude real quick. Part of these spaces is Q&A. It's why the founder's here. It's why people are here. So if you have questions, please just request to speak. We want to, help you understand what's going on a little bit better.
Going up and ain't stopping. In short.
You can always get straight to the point.
If you believe in ball chain, when ball chain starts falling, pTGC is going to fall. If you believe in PDI and PDI starts pumping, pTGC is going to fall. If people are buying pTGC, it's going to pump even higher. That's the short. You don't believe me? I said, stand up.
Yeah, somebody said the other day in a tweet, and this is just mindset, guys. I don't like to, I'm a very peaceful kind of a guy, but you do have to take what people say and make sure that your community understands what's happening when people say it. There was an individual who made a couple of comments, and it was like, the value's not here at these levels, and I was going to call the top and all these different things, right? But the person has no idea what they're talking about. They have no idea how the mechanics of a certain thing work. So you've got to be very careful when you're to people online, because a lot of these people, they flat out have no idea what it is that they're talking about. So one individual said, hearing the same things, because the chart was going up so quickly, hearing the same things as I heard with GIFT. So number one, trying to compare pTGC to GIFT is just silly, because pTGC's been out for almost a year, and they're completely different protocols. So that's a false narrative. The same influencers are shilling the high, but they forget to realize that the same that you can call them influencers. They're just people putting out posts about things that they enjoy and things that they're making money in. Why do we have to classify everybody as an influencer shilling a high? You know, but the same people are shilling the high. But why don't you talk about when those same people were talking about that thing when it was 100,000 market cap, 200, 300, 400, a million, 2, 3, 4, all the way up. So we supposed to stop talking about a good thing just because it went up in price? You know, the reality is no. And then I really want to call the top on pTGC here, right? And this was like last week, this specific individual. Well, it went on to like put another like 8 million on the market cap since then?
2x against Pulse is that tweet.
Yeah, 2x.
2x against Pulse is that tweet.
A 2x against Pulse. And then the individual says, this is not where value is at. Enjoy buying. Buy, enjoy chasing. Enjoy chasing, he says. So we have to we have to mute people who don't understand what they are doing, what they are saying. There's another individual, I did a tweet, and this is very important, guys. This is very important information for where we are in this bull run, okay? I did a tweet, I think it was yesterday, and there's an individual who's bullish on Inc. And from August 24th until yesterday, which was a span of 10 days, Inc. is bullish, and he's super bullish. The next one is, I'm becoming a P-Dye maxi. The next one is, Inc. is going much, much lower. And the next one is, the correct door is Inc. New all-time highs by the end of the year. You can't be more crypto bipolar than that. So, guys, think for yourselves. Do your own research for yourselves. Get in the telegrams. Follow the people that have the most success. Like, do you think it's a coincidence that specific people on Pulse Chain have won so hard so far, or on Ethereum, that they're in every single one of the winners? Why is that? Right? Why is pTGC in every one of the winners on Pulse Chain? I'm just putting it out there. Right now is not the time to be listening to people who have no proven track record of winning outside of maybe a lucky position in a thing. And I think that that's what B-Roots is talking about.
That individual also has lost coins and freaking run them, by the way. So, so that's another thing you gotta watch out for. Motives.
Yeah. So Prairie, do you have anything? Zen, do you want to transition into maybe Q&A or a topic? Where do you want to take this?
Yeah, I think I just brought 3 people up that probably have some questions or just want to talk. I did want to touch base on one thing that B-Roots was talking about real quick since he came up. And I think it kind of relates to him. B-Roots, in my opinion, has probably made the most people money on Pulse Chain out of everyone. At least this cycle, maybe not when Hex did 10,000X, but this cycle, B-Roots has probably killed it for the most amount of people. If you took a questionnaire, I think he's probably got the best track record out of everyone. And I think a lot of people come to crypto looking to make 100x. Like, that's a pretty basic number. And to become a millionaire on 100x, you need $10,000, right? If you had $1,000, you would need a 1,000x. Just recently, B-Roots, I kind of explained to people with pTGC how easy that actually is. That we only need a 10x of pTGC and then a 10x of Pulse Chain. Very, very low numbers in crypto. Like, that is tiny numbers in crypto due to the X multiplier. You do a 10x on pTGC, a 10x on pulse chain, that's 100x. You just turned $10,000 into $1 million. You just made yourself a millionaire. But the interesting about this, I started talking about this 2 months ago, and I started telling people, hey, it's really not that hard, even from these levels. And it's not hard to do even more than that. It's just 100x is an easy number for people to understand. Since that date, pTGC already done a 5x. We're already halfway there. Pulse chain hasn't done any of their x's yet, so there's still that. But what I'm getting at is, for pTGC to do its side of that equation, we only need one more 2x. And then pulse chain just needs to do a 10x, or we could just do more and then we need less x's from pulse chain. But what I'm getting at is, when you put the ball in your court, it's actually very, very easy to win. The problem is everyone keeps passing the ball to other people, wanting them to win the game for them, when that person's best interests are them, not you. So you need to be holding the ball in your court to win the game. Stop passing the ball off to other people. And that's really what I wanted to say. Is I think you're really like
that way.
court because you know you'll win the game for yourself. And I think pTGC and the community pTGC are doing that as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be quick. The question is how when you go from 100x to 1,000x, how goes that fast? And it's real simple. And if you're like, oh, I don't believe in it or I don't know, there's a thing called the laws of meme coins. It's very easy and very simple. If you're like, man, if you guys sitting on like, I'm gonna say if I'm sitting on $10,000 and I'm like, this thing's doing numbers, I'm skeptical, but I'm willing to speculate. Take $2,000. I would take $2,000. When it does it 2x, I'll take 50% of that out, and I do not. I'm playing with free house money. So if it does, it's 100x, it's 1,000x. That 2,000 that I put in, remember I took half out for profits. Now I would have $1,000 that I put in. That $1,000 returned into $1 million at $1,000 on free money. So that's how easily it can be done, even if you want to speculate. But it does help to work for your bag and not try to be like, hey guys, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just going to invest in it and let everyone else do all the work and try to freaking pump my bags. And that's what a lot of people do. That's where you need to get out of that. You need to get loud. It's already pumping. It's sitting nice. It looked kind of like what Hex was doing in the beginning. So you can't deny it. You look at the charts. You can't deny the facts. You deny the facts, once again, it's all on you.
Cryptographics, you've got your hand up, brother. Please.
Sweet. Well, first off, I love this conversation. I mean, a lot of great names up here. I think that this is such a relevant conversation. All I wanted to say really was just echo what you guys were talking about earlier, and about how, getting tunnel vision, being a maxi in any sort. I think, Manny, you were saying it's one thing to be all in Richard Park, but not to look elsewhere. I mean, I just want to speak from my own experience here. When I started being public and being a YouTuber, one of the first things I did that I had no idea about was I was like a tunnel vision. I would ignore everything else. And it took me 2 years to finally break into the shell, get snapped out of my shell with another token, which TX or Titanx, but we're not here to talk about it. Basically, when the last 3-4 months has been the most eye-opening thing for me, where I started to finally break out of this pulse chain only, hex only shell. And once I started to break out of this, I can't tell you how much I've begun to learn about crypto, wider crypto, about how important meme coins are, how important tokens like pTGC are, and I didn't give those any time of day prior, and I regret that big time. I knew about pTGC in December and January that just passed, and you know what? I was so stuck in my head still about oh, it's probably a scam. I wasn't willing to do any research. I wasn't willing. I did a little bit. I watched Kindness, who met my man. Thank you for your videos early on. I wish I paid closer attention to them, but I was on a road trip. I was listening to the videos, but I could not get past my own like limiting perspective and limiting belief about, well, it's not the core, you know. And actually, because of my belief, I made how much did I made many X's when I first branched out for the first time since getting out of the Richard Park ecosystem. You know what I did? I went right back to my roots and I lost it all. So, and I can't tell you how important it is from what I've learned to pay attention to, like Moon King's been saying, like Matt's been saying, the guys, and everyone's been saying, who's actually making money, who's consistently making good calls. People get stuff wrong many, many times, but who is making more right calls than wrong calls? And I just wanted to echo how freaking important it is to clear your timeline, to not close yourself off to other people's opinions or tokens, and be willing to actually put the time in to go past the stupid ass social media opinions that you'll see people just posting all the time. Like, oh, it's a scam. Oh, it's a scam. It's gonna rug you. If it's gonna rug, go do research. Find out for yourself. Go talk to somebody about it. Go do your own damn homework and figure out, like everyone's been saying so far, like be in charge of your own bank. You know, go do your own work. Stop listening to people. And I mean, there's a reason these guys are here. Like, there's a reason that you got Moon King and Mando and Farnell, just many other guys that are in this chat that are echoing, you know, just this same notion, and they've done well with it. I mean, I could ramble here, but I won't. But I just wanted to throw my 2 cents on that front and just echo how important this conversation is, and everyone should really be paying attention and really examine how they're operating in this space, and if they really have their perspective wide enough and their ears open enough to be willing to check out what else is out there.
You know, it's also good what you did there also is you may not realize it, but when you do branch out, you're actually, when it comes to marketing, you're actually branching out. And if you wanted to lead people toward Hex over the long term, you know, if you make a couple good calls, people are like, okay, who's this guy? This guy is like doing very well. And then, you know, you don't have to be direct with it, but then all of a sudden you're like talking about Hex and other people will be like, well, what's the Hex thing? So like, it's kind of what Richard actually speaks about, kind of doing that stuff. I make Hex look like a scam on purpose. I make it look like a Ponzi on purpose. Why? Because people are attracted to it. But it isn't. But this is what I got to do to get attracted to it. So it's kind of the same concept when you're doing your marketing. When you do branch out to other things, and that other people that are interested in it, they automatically will listen to you and what you have to say about other things. And that's how you grow as an individual if you want to get into marketing. But also, it's how you pump your own bags too. You do have to grow as an individual to influence somebody else at a later date. And there's so many people that's asked me about plays on Ethereum from Pulse Chain. And there's so many people that ask about plays on Pulse Chain from Ethereum. It's just how it works. That's just how life works.
Yeah, Critical Graphics said, we want to thank you, man, for just the high-end, high-quality videography that you've put together and that you do for a lot of different places, but specific to pTGC and UFO, man, just a class act. Amazing, amazing high-level work, man. The community, you know, thanks you for doing that.
Oh, I appreciate that.
I know you don't just put in that amount of work for just anything, you know. So it was a blessing for that to come out.
Well, not to be a brown nose or an ass kisser or whatever, but I mean, quality deserves quality, in my opinion. You know, which is why I talk about so few things on my channel to begin with. I'm careful, but pTGC deserves to have. It's so annoying to even what I'm realizing is it's so frustrating and annoying, and you know, it's just because it's I want people to know about this. I want people to listen, but obviously, you know, I can, if I showed you the views on my channel lately from the amount of pTGC content or the amount of views from pTGC and anything else I post, it's just funny, you know, because you've got this thing called Pulse Chain and you've got Pulse X and Hex, which are just basically, you know, being bloodsuckers for people's wallets temporarily. You know, it's obviously all temporary, but at least as of lately, you know, no one's exactly made money on, for the most part, on this whole ecosystem, and yet that's the one that gets the most views, and you post something that is making people money and going up, and no one really wants to hear about it. So it's funny, man. I love the Pulse Chain community, though.
That's the good thing about YouTube, though, man. Keep those videos coming. You know why? Because when pTGC or anything that you talk about does do those crazy numbers, you know what videos they're going to be watching? Not the Pulse Chain one, because everyone knows about it. They're going to say what's next. And then those where those views on those channels come up big time. I've had the #1, back in 2017, I had the #1 video for XRP. But I didn't make that video when XRP was pumping. I made that video when nobody else was talking about XRP. And then all of a sudden, when the wave came in, there was videos on XRP that I made, and it freaking just went up crazy. So that's how you grow as a YouTuber and an influencer. You're just before the market, and they don't even realize it.
Do we have anybody else? Cryptographic, thank you, man, for coming up. And if you got anything else, feel free to speak. But do we have any more hands? I know that you brought up a few more people. Zen?
Yeah, King Daniel's been raising his hand for a while, so he's next up.
What's up, King?
Hey, good morning, guys. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Firstly, I just want to say congratulations to the community for such a great performance, and it's outstanding. You know, I've been following Coach X from day one, not day one, but from the beginning, as far as I know. And I want to say kudos to you guys. So I did something. I did an article on pTGC. I'm still waiting for an approval to publish it. But I just want to be cautious, not cautious, courtesy per se.
Accurate.
So, I mean, so you guys can look at it just in case I have said or written anything wrong. Because I'm a strong believer on Google Analytics. That's my marketing strategy. I've did it for years. You know, backlinks and links and everything. To other like videos, like who just spoke before me, Cryptographic. Congratulations to you too for a great job that you're doing for your community. That's, you know, communities need people like you. It's not all about the leadership or the people that's always out there up front. It's just, you know, the regular guy speaks more volume to the community. So congratulations to you. And I'll try and see if I can go through your channel and steal any of your video and link. All I'm not just doing is probably downloading the video or link it to your obviously I'm going to put the website link there so people can go view your video too. But so I need that approval from you guys. But regardless, if you send it to me, I'm probably still gonna publish the article. And if you guys don't like it, you can let me know. It always can be rewritten or added to it or taken away from it. So what I'm doing right now, I'm building up my website. I'm talking about other projects within Pulse Chain community. Some of them I'm invested in, like say like pTGC. I'm invested in pTGC. Obviously, you guys know I have my own token, so I'm not going to be like a front man talking much about. I barely even talk about my token. So I'm doing that because my son requested me to help him do kind of a central location that he can go into while he's in college right now, while he's onboarding his friends, while he's talking to his friends, projects that he can talk about within Pulse Chain, not just Pulse Chain, my token or my ecosystem, but other ones that I am involving. Because everything I'm involving, he takes it as if he's involving, that he can go into and do his own homework. So I've written about Bitcoin, I've written about Ethereum, I've written about liquid loans, yeah, because is a protocol that you can use. You don't have to be invested, but I'm a little bit invested in that too. So I think since I'm invested in pTGC, it'll do me a favor and do you guys a kind of a win-win situation and do my future generation a favor so they can have a central location and they can read those articles that he has written a long time ago. I will try to do my best, to have all the links to other YouTube videos like Coach's videos and have as much as I can have there. And as I go on, I do the Google Analytics. I know what what links is driving more leads and driving more views, and I can, is either I leave it or maintain it, or I work on other links so that they can do better. I appreciate if you guys. I think I sent out the.
Yeah, King, if you don't mind, can you DM me with the article? I'd love to read it. Just kind of thoughts on it.
I will. I think. Yeah, but that's it anyway. Good job, guys. That's all I really have.
Prairie?
Yes, sir. What's up?
It looked like you had something.
No, just taking a seat, getting off my feet.
Do we got anybody else then?
I've got something. Is it okay if I go?
Absolutely.
Hey, so, I got into X within the first month it came out, and I ended up doing really good. So I did good in Hex. I started my own business, heating, cooling, refrigeration business, bought some assets, preserved capital, and preserved purchasing power. And I've never really left. I've never left the Bridger Pirate ecosystem. I sacrificed for Pulse X, and kind of making my own thing. I'm not here to show my own thing. I'm here to figure out what pTGC and UFO can provide for liquidity. So what I do is I go around to all the PRC 20s. They don't really have much liquidity, or maybe they do, right? Really, I just want to go to every PRC 20 that was native on chain at launch, put liquidity in them, and then bring to life that little, that ecos, that part of Pulse chain. I had some pairs, get $100 in liquidity between really all the PRC 20s. I've been doing this and looking for the Ethereum counterpart communities to try to bring them over to Pulse chain. Because there are a lot of Ethereum communities out there that don't know or just haven't tried to get into Pulse chain because they don't know. So I think bringing liquidity into their PRC 20 copies, letting them know and trying to help them come over here and bring their tokens that are in their wallet, put them on the market as LP would be good for Pulse chain, thicken liquidity. My question is, does pTGC or UFO, if you were to buy them and then put them in a Pulse X pool, V2, do they add any benefit to the pools other than just collecting the regular 0.22 fee or the 0.022 fee?
Zen, you understand the nature of this type of a question. Let's get it out there.
Yeah. So when you provide LP with pTGC or UFO, unless it's with an RH ticker on our DApp with UFO, you are not going to get the APR paid out by the token. So I'm going to use pTGC as an example because it's a little bit easier to explain in this example. When you pair your pTGC with any token, you are now giving up your APR of pTGC. So pTGC is like single-sided staking. Ultimately, you can just hold it and earn APR. It also buys and burns, but if you move that over to LP, you now are not earning that APR. You're just going to earn the APR of that liquidity pool, which is, B2 providing fees. With UFO, if you add LP with tokens in our farm, you're going to be getting a decent APR, but that's via the farm. That's not the reflections of the token or anything. So if you pair UFO with a random token,
you will not get the APR token. You will only be getting the LP fees. Does that make sense?
That does make sense, yes.
Yes. And it's designed to prevent vampiring. But there's a lot of nuance to how this works. Obviously, when you have success, you have a lot of people that want to try to attach themselves to it, right? But it's not designed in such a way to where you can really manipulate it in that sense.
Hey, Mando, can I jump in real quick, please? Just from a playman's view. So, from the question you're asking, what's his name, Moon Boots? I think I've heard you speak before. So, absolutely, what you're thinking about doing is absolutely great because that's what I'm doing. I have both. But the best strategy is what the Post TG and Mando just said about pTGC is buying and staking in, so you can at least earn the appreciation in price and earn the APR from the distribution it does within the ecosystem. So that's the best strategy for.
Hey, real quick, I can't hear him anymore, so he's asking. I got you. He's King. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's the best strategy for pTGC. But from your own point of view, is excellent too. It works both ways. It works both ways because that's what I'm doing too. I paid pTGC to my own token, and if you look at, I think pTGC went up a lot today, and let me see what it does right now. It's at let me see real quick, guys. Just give me a little bit time. It's at it's at 30% right now today. You know, out of that 30%, I could grab about 10.8 out of it for my own token. You know, so that token is purely pegged to Hex and Postchain and PLX, but they're not doing that great right now. So obviously, from that token, I'm buying my Post and PLS and all the stuff. You know, so that's why the SPR is still down. So due to the performance of pTGC and due to the liquidity that is burnt, which is going to make it have value for the rest of its life. So it's a win-win situation. It's a no-brainer. You know, if you know what Hart's law is, if you know how to pick up the good tickers within Postchain, it's no-brainer. And that's the same strategy I use even for my main token, HAS. You know, I go and pair them with the main tokens I know that are doing well, that are always going to have that exponential run up. When they're running up, brother. You understand? So, you know, you're in a good place if you want to. I would that just from my own opinion, not a financial advice, but I think pTGC is a great token for use to something like that. You know, to wake up other PRC tokens, and that's how we build the web, that everybody benefit each other within the ecosystem.
Hey, King Daniel, I got a question for you.
Go ahead, brother.
For your own token that you launched, makes sense. In general, does it make sense? Because my question would be then, did you make as much money if you didn't just buy pTGC?
So my you know, I'm a to me, I'm a little bit a different person. My game theory in crypto is not all about myself. I'm pretty much when I created my token, I did an incentive token for my single site for the main token. So it's pretty much giving away money, you know. So I bought some tokens that I know that will do well in future. As they do well, my community members do well, you know. And so I'm more about distribution of wealth and creating wealth within people that I know, people that are committed to my ecosystem. It's not really not much about me. I have enough. I have enough aside from all these tokens. I have enough room without cryptocurrency. I have enough in life. That's my whole goal. But you have to be on the founder side to really understand the point I'm making. You understand? There's no way I'm going to lose because I'm the creator of the token. Is it going to be an exponential gain and be like other founders that get away with millions and billions of dollars? No, it may not be like that. But those millions and billions of dollars I'm creating probably is going to go to most of my community members, and I'm proud of doing that. I'm more about helping people. That's just me. It could be a cost, it could be a blessing. I don't know.
So what I'm trying, I probably came at it in a different way, and then maybe Mando can essentially answer this, or you can answer it too. Also, King Daniel. Doesn't Richard Hart himself own all the liquidity from all the PRC 20 pairs?
Yes.
And isn't the original plan to slowly and or depending on the adoption of the program to add liquidity back into those coins potentially?
Well, the answer to the first part.
Yes, yes.
So what I'm trying to say is from a game theory perspective, helping out in that situation isn't really helping out. You're saying, hey, if you want the financial gain of the possibility of you doing that early while it's low, you can do that if that ends up being the thing where people pair to Pulse Chain to the Ethereum counterparts. So if you're doing it to quote unquote help out, in my opinion, it's not really needed. If you're doing it for a financial gain, you're probably better off just putting it into just buying the coin. Unless you want to if you long-term believe in that coin, then you can make that speculation that the Ethereum counterpart will adopt Pulse Chain, therefore liquidity gets put back into it and it becomes a thing. If you're just randomly pairing just the pair with a hopeful and a prayer, financially, to me, that doesn't make sense.
No.
But if you long-term believe in the project and say, I think the Ethereum counterpart is going to come over here and pair with Pulse Chain, I'm going to get into this early before anyone else. But that still is speculation. Meanwhile, pTGC is just going up. So if you're in the if you're doing it for financial reasons, you're seeing it at yourself as you pair these coins to these coins to these coins, and they're just sitting there not doing nothing. Meanwhile, pTGC is going up in value. What's the better financial gain?
Yeah, and it's not just going up, right? You can say that you're all about a community, and this is just a general. You can say you're all about a community, you're all about this or that. The only thing in crypto that matters is the asset going up in price for the people who hold it, and is the underlying liquidity pools valuable? Or is there a $1 billion market cap with $1,000 of liquidity in a piece of trash token? Right? So if you really want to talk about making people wealthy, you also have to talk about actually having real money, millions and millions of dollars in liquidity that's constantly going up in value against the market cap that's going up, right? That's why pTGC is constantly at these lows. Basically, pTGC is a perma-bull. It's one of the biggest buyers of all RH tickers and the most valuable tokens on the blockchain for a reason at the lows. Because when you get a 5x, it goes from $4 or $5 million in liquidity to instantly $20 million, $25 million in liquidity. Now, the only people that can access that liquidity are pTGC or UFO token holders. The only way you can talk about creating wealth for someone is if you actually have wealth underpinning the thing that you own. You can't fugazi what you think is going to make someone wealthy when there's not any financial economic energy truly backing it. That's the unique thing. Richard Hart's products are super liquid. We've got $100 million at any given time at the doldrums of the market on this thing. That's perfectly fine. And pTGC, I think right now is $4 to $5 million, 5% of that in value of the entire blockchain. With just a blip on the radar, that goes to 10 million, 20 million, 30 million. That is wealth transfer. So if you're not talking about reality in crypto and you're talking about wishes and prayers, it was fine. You can hope with a wish and a prayer something's going to do something. But when you're talking about the copious amounts of your portfolio, man, that's not wish and prayer stuff, right? That's stuff that you want to make sure has real value undergirding it and continues to have real value undergirding it.
Moon, you
Yes.
got
So Mando and Moon King, I respect what you guys are saying, and I agree with you. You know, that I use my son as an example all the time. I'm not my financial strategy and my son's financial strategy is different. So if I'm going to advise him to buy pTGC right now, I'm going to tell him, hey, buy and hold, because that will be the best strategy for him. But you have to understand that people's view, sometimes people have a world view. I don't look at cryptocurrency as the next five years thing. I'm looking at more of global stuff. So wealth is relative, you know. If you're talking about $100 to you right now, it probably means nothing. $1,000 probably means nothing. But that's wealth transfer for some people globally. You understand? So as a person that have been around the world, as a person that's coming from a western part of Africa, it's not, I won't even call it a third world country anymore, Nigeria. But as somebody that have been around, thankfully for being in the army, I've traveled around the world. I know what the dollar means. I know what the dollar holds. So it's more of a global stuff for me. It's not just. I think we always miss that point because we use think in America is just a word, or maybe all these Western cultures is not. It's just a word. There are some people that is in like quote unquote Ghana, Indonesia, that $50 means a lot to them. $100 could be a paycheck for the whole family. So it's a whole different perspective in life. You understand? But if you want to have 100% gain, and that's why I said your strategy and what the host just said, what's the best strategy if you're looking for financial appreciation? But if you are looking into accumulating stuff, coins and stuff like that, yes, I would say pay because it's a way. We gotta understand a founder thinks different from an investor. A founder thinks differently from investors. You as a founder, you're talking about the best strategy for your token, but I'm talking from an investment and a founder perspective. What's best for both sides? It's up to them to.
I don't agree with that, King. You can't say that as a founder you think differently. As a founder, you have to think, right? You have to think about what is best for the community, and what is best for the community is actually having real wealth, real value, backing the thing that you founded. It's even if you're talking about people who have very little in a country. If you have people that have a ton of the supply, one guy can choose to dump and your whole token's busted. It does the tokenomics apply the same to every liquidity pool. It doesn't matter what our philosophy is. You understand what I'm saying? Moon, do you got something?
What are the tokenomics of UFO and pTGC? Like, what's the burn? What's the tax? What's the payout for just holding the tokens? Like, what's in the contract?
Do you want to get into that, Zen, or do you want to just send them over to the overview?
Overview would be fine if it's written out.
I can go through it real quick. But yeah, sorry, I have my son right now because my wife's pregnant and was craving a breakfast burrito, so I let her leave. So bear with me if you hear him in the background. So pTGC, I'm just going to do it real quick so we can keep going. pTGC has a 0.5% tax going to buy and burns, 0.5% tax to automatic LP ads, 2% tax that goes to the DAO that ultimately 99% of the time just does LP ads and burns or buy and burns. And then 2% of the fees go to holders and stakers. So if you're just holding, you get 1%. If you're staking, you get 1% for holding and 1% for staking, and it adds up to 5%. If you go to pulsetgc.com and just scroll down on the homepage, you can see that written out. Great. No problem. And then UFO is 1% to holders, 3% to LP providers on our farming DApp, which is on that same website. You keep self-custody of all your tokens when you're doing this. So it's not like other farms where you have to give up custody of your tokens. This, you keep your PLP tokens in your wallet. I believe we're the first farm to really ever do this ever. And then 1% buys and burns UFO, and 1% buys and burns pTGC. So with this ecosystem, we try to have everything going back to the mothership which is pTGC itself. So as we're successful, pTGC just becomes more successful. And again, sorry if someone's talking and I can't hear you. I can't drop down or anything. So
No, you're good. Okay, does anybody else want to come up and speak, have questions, comments?
I see
you can
Bird.
just you can go to the TG, and the overview for pTGC takes about 7 minutes to read. It's very easy. The overview for UFO is the same. Cryptographics on his YouTube channel has created beautiful videography that explains the entire mechanism. I would highly recommend you go through both.
Real quick, Mando, I think it goes back to our conversation we said earlier. When it comes to like LPing and staking and all that, it's just really, in reality, you just got to get off the handcuffs of safety and, you know, Richard Hart only products. You know, I think that's, I mean, I still think that is stuck in a lot of people's mind, in the back of their minds. And also what Richard Hart taught early about what they think that Pulse Chain is built for. I'm not going to say the PRC-20 idea is dead. I'm not there yet, but I'm kind of close to it. The idea was to lower gas fees, and it's pretty, I don't know if you guys have been on Ethereum lately, but it's pretty damn cheap for this part of the bull run to transact on Ethereum. So the idea of people pairing over Pulse Chain because of gas fees is nearly dead. It's right there. It's very close. So I'm not going to say it yet, and I'll never say never, because we don't know what they're going to change. But those TRC-20s just sitting there, as a person that goes on Solana, a person goes on been on Tron, a person's been on Ethereum, there is almost no reason at this point that I see that somebody would go from Ethereum and say, hey, let's go and pair ourselves with Pulse Chain to get lower gas fees. It's almost not happening at this point that I see. Now that can change, but that whole idea that we saw 2 or 3 years ago, just throw it out the window, because right now that's no one can care less about transactions.
Yeah, well, what people didn't foresee is that, you know, a lot of the economic energy and volume was going to go to DMB, it was going to go to Tron,
Solana,
it was going to go to, you know, Solana, which did the same exact thing. Right. So now the narrative is totally different. I think that Pulse Chain it exemplifies the best in blockchain technology, in decentralization, and the things that the Satoshi white paper exemplified. Right, Richard is building something super robust, decentralized. It's a freedom chain. But I agree with you that the narrative now PDAC is a free PRC-20 copy. So the
that doesn't count. That doesn't count, because I still think that the pump, the whole it's all part of it. But I'm talking like, you know, all the other. I mean, you can say even Maker that's on there is probably going to be a good thing that's used. There's a lot of research talking about the Pulse Chain Maker version is going to be part of it. Maybe Aave. Some of those potential DeFi products that Richard Hart may or may not like, may do something with. But overall, I'm just talking about the other 15,000 coins of the idea of pair your PRC-20 with the Ethereum counterpart, cheaper gas fees, and they can use it over here on Pulse Chain. Yeah, it's not happening.
I think that if it was, I think that the market would have to massively pick up, volume would have to massively pick up. I think that the SEC case needs to be dealt with to make people comfortable in that situation. I don't think any of that comes until those things are in place. Zen, you had another gentleman that wanted to speak.
Yeah, I see B Wheezy Bird raising his hand for a while. Maybe he
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah. By the way, whatever I mentioned, if it's treaded
Hey,
on
Mando, if you could
already-
answer his questions, I don't hear him. So
whatever I say, if it's on similar trending waters of what's been discussed in spaces, I apologize. I just woke up like an hour ago and wanted to join in here. And also a disclaimer for what I'm about to say. Anyone who I mentioned, it's not to instigate drama. It's just to reinforce my overall point about marketing, strategy, and discussions about this project because of what I feel is just recognizing patterns from other previous projects. So I've noticed that there's been a few, I think, bad actors or just very uneducated actors, right? Talking about this project compared to others like, B Roots, who's been talking about this project for a while, same thing as you, Mando, that I've seen similar strategy of like, hey, someone releases a new product, right? They talk about its tokenomics and the benefits of the project, right? Maybe it doesn't gain as much traction as they should, and then all of a sudden they start to attack other projects, mainly, especially since we're in Pulse Chain, the main RH takers, right? And someone who I'm referencing right now is K4K, right?
Yeah, so let me get to it because I don't want to die out the conversation.
Yeah.
We already put out information about it. As a matter of fact, our next buy and burn, which is I think today or tomorrow, we're taking 100 million Pulse Chain and buying with it. So K4K doesn't speak on behalf of pTGC. His videos, I love. K4K is a good guy. They just didn't have enough nuance in them. They didn't have enough clarification in them. We are super bullish on Hex for the long term. We think it's a very undervalued asset, obviously. And what he does and what he says in his video has nothing to do with pTGC, the founder, and its overall philosophy or mindset whatsoever. As a matter of fact, we are one of the biggest buyers of Hex continuously on the blockchain. And I tweeted out in those threads to K4K and said, look, man, you really need to be a lot more nuanced with that outbound messaging. This is not a tit for tat, this for that. We are net bullish on that project, and his views don't reflect what we're doing here in that specific sense.
Yeah. And I understand he's not representative of your team or someone who's been supportive of the project for a while, but numbers are numbers where, on YouTube, he's number 3 in this ecosystem in terms of YouTube subscribers, somewhere around there, top 5. And, people see that, right? It's like, oh, he's been a guy for a while, right? He's got a good, viewer count, everything like that. His opinion should be valuable, right? So it sucks if, whatever he brings up as a talking point, whatever it's just ignorance or misinformation, whatever, all of a sudden creates just muddy waters for what you guys' talking points are, right? And I'm not saying it's going to turn out the same way, but it's the same way as someone like Gunter. He'll talk about a project and what happens after that, because of some character like him. So I guess my advice was hey, if you guys keep pushing, making sure voices like him aren't the primary voice, I think it should be good.
Yeah, there's no way in an environment of a decentralized global blockchain where any project can monitor free people talking about things. I spoke with Zen about this immediately after I saw, some of the content he was putting out. And Zen, can you hear me? Can you hear me specifically?
I can hear you only, Mando. Or
So
I guess I was hearing it before.
Up the K4K video that's talking about Hex and the stuff that I immediately brought up with you. And just having specific influencers, have specific outbound messaging that's not correct, specifically to Hex. Maybe if you'd like to speak about that just for a minute, and then we can move on.
Yeah. So on a fully decentralized blockchain with a fully decentralized product, there's going to be, I think, at some point, thousands of people that come out and make YouTube videos, content, tweets that are speaking about their specific beliefs on pTGC and UFO. Anyone speaking about their specific beliefs does not necessarily mean that's my specific beliefs. That doesn't mean that's Mando's specific beliefs. That's their specific beliefs about pTGC in general. I watched the videos too. I think it was a little bit too bashing on Hex. Personally, I believe very, very heavily in RH and Hex. Hence the reason why our web is huge with RH and Hex. I think that's just burnt liquidity and code speaks for itself. We wouldn't have built over here if we didn't believe in RH and Hex. I'm as RH maxi as it gets. Personally, I think he was just trying to explain the differences of Hex and pTGC because, in my opinion, it's comparing apples to oranges. They are completely different products, but both on the same blockchain. So he was using it as an example of what's different. But that doesn't mean that we are not bullish on Hex in any way. We wouldn't pair with Hex heavily. We wouldn't burn liquidity with Hex if we weren't bullish on the RH ecosystem. And I think just everyone should keep that in general. A lot of people I'll even say that a lot of people have been using my name recently. If it doesn't come out of my mouth, I didn't say it. So don't believe it. I think this is going to happen more and more and more. So I honestly am very, very appreciative that K4K has found such an interest in pTGC. I've put my heart and soul into this product, and everything I've built behind it, I have learned from RH himself. I'm probably as RH maxi as it can literally get, and I believe in his project and his blockchain. I believe more than most. But he was using it as a comparison that came off a little bit negative, and I understand where that upset a few people, and I do want to make clear that that comparison put maybe a negative light on Hex a little bit, but we are not bearish on Hex. We are bullish on Hex, and I personally believe it's going to do crazy numbers this cycle. I think it's undervalued as it could literally get. It's 99% down. And RH talks about so many times in his streams, if you go back, volatility is a blessing. It's not a defect. It's actually a great opportunity in crypto. So we're on pTGC and UFO, we're using that to our benefit. We're not looking at that as a defect. We're looking at that as a benefit to us, to pTGC. And, I think that's enough said on the topic, really.
Also, as an influencer perspective, also, I'm not saying this about K4K. I joke around and I say about from people like Jake Gagan. I say, people will come out of nowhere and start making content on something that's pumping out of the ordinary, doing more for more. It's going to start first with this community, and then it's going to branch out as the community gets bigger. But just realize that, some people will be tweaking the correct information. Even I didn't tweak it on purpose, but even I've said some wrong stuff. So it's sometimes it's not like by intention. Sometimes you just think you know something and it's actually incorrect, and you're not doing it intentionally. But other people will put their intentions on it. So just take it for what it is, and it is good that there's more videos on it, but just don't take it to heart that that is the end all. That includes everything that I even say. So.
Yeah. I personally don't even think that's like his personal belief on it. Like, I don't even think he's bearish on Hex. I think he was just trying to create an example that maybe just didn't come out as clear as he was intending, and it kind of stirred the pot a little bit. He was just doing a comparison, and sadly, when you compare an apple to an orange, you're like, oh, an apple's rough and an orange is rough and an apple is smooth. That doesn't mean one's better than the other in any way. They're two completely different fruit.
Yeah, I think that he didn't mean Hex is going to collapse. I think he was just comparing it to inflationary things, right? It's the same question that are,
I did have again. I don't know who saw the entire full video, right? But half of the video was kind of bashing the product and saying like, "Hey, maybe this is why RH has decided to make its own deflationary tokens because inflationary models, don't work anymore." Right?
Right here,
Yeah.
brother. Here's the thing, and I hear you. We can't prevent humans from saying whatever they're going to say, whether they're right, wrong, whether they have the right amount of nuance or they don't. Right? We can't bank everything on the whim of an individual. K4K talked out of his ass about PulseX and all the numbers, right? And I'm very thankful K4K likes pTGC. But not everybody is right when they make a statement. Not everybody has enough depth when they create content. Not everybody has enough nuance or understanding between the two things. Most people have no clue what's going on behind the scenes of Hex, how much harder it is to mint Hex now than it was when it launched, the amount of tokens that are owned and that are in strong hands, and just in 2 milliseconds, how fast it can turn back around. Like, there's way too much nuance that was not discussed. And again, it does not reflect the founder, pTGC, or anyone that is a larger holder here. We are all very bullish on Hex, and that's why we keep buying the shit out of it.
And just showing from the blockchain with UFO, that liquidity pool with EHEX, not even PHEX, there's 75 million EHEX. So the blockchain speaks louder than any kind of individual with that kind of like opinion or showcasing different kind of nuances and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, smart people, get your liquidity from smart individuals like Beavers is talking about, but actually just look at the blockchain. What is the blockchain saying to the people? And like at the end of the day, that speaks louder than myself, anybody up here. And
yeah. As a matter of fact, the next liquidity ad is another 100 million pulse put into the XLP. So from our vantage point, I respect your question and your statement, but just understand that whether it's K4K or someone else, if they're saying something, doing a comparison, look, they don't have the nuance, if they don't have the right language, that does not fall back on us. We're doing the exact opposite of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, whatever it is,
I think it was just that a comparison that of inflation to deflation. I believe, also probably did these same comparisons with PulseX compared to Hex and why he was bullish on PulseX. But we have to remember, look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's inflationary, and look at how amazing that's done. Hex is ultimately a better Bitcoin if you really get down to it. That's the simplest way to put it. So I personally don't think inflation is always a bad thing. I think inflation is a good thing when used properly, and I do think RH did use it properly. Also, people tend to forget Hex has a buy and burn built into it. People buy it, and then when they mint or when they stake, they're technically burning their supply. So there was a few topics that weren't covered in that, and when I watched that, I knew it was going to stir the pot a little bit. But it was, in my opinion, he was just trying to explain to people how powerful the deflationary nature of pTGC was. That was it. I don't think it meant he was bearish on Hex in any ways. It was just an example of how powerful pTGC's buy and burn is with no inflation ever. And that's it. I think people are looking into it a little bit too much, which I understand why. They're looking into it a little bit too much. But again, it was just a comparison, an apple to an orange. The truth is, look at the blockchain, which was saying we're bullish on Hex and everything RH. I'm as RH maxi as it could be. I put this protocol, which I put my heart and soul into, on his blockchain for its decentralization, and I believe in his products, or we wouldn't have paired millions of dollars and burnt it with his products. I don't know of another token that's done that. So I think just look at the blockchain and you can obviously see what we think about hex at our age.
Yeah, and just K for K, if you listen to this, we appreciate you. We appreciate your videos, but have a little bit more nuance, brother, in sharing stuff like that, because a lot of people listen to you. Have a little bit more nuance. That's all we ask.
Which it's all up to you guys how you want.
I do appreciate K for K's videos. Do I think it came off a little bit too rough? 100%. I have no control over how people put stuff out. I've even put stuff out a little too harsh than what I've meant. We're just kind of speaking on whim, and sometimes it just doesn't come out what it was circulating in my head. You know what I mean? So I 100% love that he's creating content for pTGC. It means the world to me. Like I said, this is my heart and soul, this project. I think he was just talking about how strong deflation was and using hex as an example, how currently the inflation's hurting because no one's doing staking right now and no one's buying. But that doesn't mean we're bearish on hex. We still love hex. We love the code. We love the decentralization. We love the blockchain that RH built for hex because we're also utilizing it in that works for us as well. But I'll just leave it at that. Yes, I appreciate K for K 100%. Do I think that was a little bit too strong? I 100% think that too. I've also probably hit certain points a little too strong in my past as well. And it's, in my opinion, just we don't need to pick out every little bit of it.
Yes, I think that's good. You can. Are we really saying that one word wouldn't have been better than another word in any form of communication? Yeah, but I think that we've answered the question for you in a very in-depth way. You guys know where the protocol here stands. We love hex, we buy hex, we stack hex, and everything RH.
Yeah, and you guys could do whatever you want, of course, but I don't know if you guys want to make just like a little public, video or tweet saying, hey, like this doesn't reflect like our viewpoint of the project or whatever, right? Because, unfortunately, my post did attract some other people with also big followings, like are turned off, but again, up to you guys. Hope you guys succeed, and don't have the same bad faith as bad actors with their projects that they had one little mistake and now they have egg in their face. So good luck to you guys. Hopefully all swells and we all succeed in the future.
You know what? We appreciate you bringing up this topic. You can ask Zen that before this call, I was talking to him about this very thing because we respect everybody. We respect everybody's, bags in that sense. But just remember that nobody speaks for the founder or this protocol. And the only thing that does truly speak is the code and the liquidity pools, which obviously prove that the people here are bullish on hex.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and
what you said. Really, I'm the community member speaking on behalf of the project as well.
Sam, can you hear me?
It also goes back to saying what we talked about earlier, where it really doesn't really need a tweet. Everyone just needs to do their own research and make their own decisions.
Yeah, here's going to be our next tweet. We just took 100 million pulse and buy hex.
There you
go.
There we go.
Anybody else?
Really doesn't matter what anyone says. What matters is what's on the blockchain and in code. And like I said, I'm just a community member at a certain point speaking my beliefs. My beliefs aren't always right either. And just pay attention what's in the code, pay attention what's burnt liquidity, and I think that speaks for itself.
Do we have any other hands up? Anybody else that wants to come up?
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Bell?
What's going on?
I just have one question. I know the 5%, 1% goes to holders, 1% goes to stakers. What percent goes to staking? I don't really didn't understand that part. I'm sorry, block.
Yeah, so none of the 5% fee goes to locking. None. So when you decide to lock, okay, you're in a pool with a bunch of other people that decided to take a percentage of their holdings and basically store it away from themselves. It's the same thing with HEX, as you know, right? Protect yourself from yourself kind of a thing. So that, again, that's an RH-esque value that was built into the system. So when you lock, you're in a pool with a bunch of other people that also decided to lock. The way that you earn from being in a lock is the same way that Hexicans earn when they're staked and people early end their stake. They get rewards. So the way that you earn inside of a lock, and the only way you earn, is when people early end their lock, they will pay a 30% penalty to everyone else that's in the pool. Currently, and Prairie, please speak to this. I think it's right around the same for lockers, or maybe just a tad bit less in terms of what you earn in APR just to hold versus just to stake and then adding the lock. I think it's right on par with everything else.
I'm looking that up right now.
Close to 1%.
No, it's not close to 1%. You can't say a percentage because it's completely based on, if you have a pool of 500 people and they're locked, if somebody decides to early end lock a $10,000 stake, a $10,000 lock, 30% of that is going to go to everyone else who is honoring that lock. That is how it's paid out in the lock. It's not based on an APR or a percentage. It's 100% correlated to people ending their lock early. They take a penalty, and it goes to everybody else in the Truth Engine who's honoring their lock.
Hey, Councilman, that's the best way to kind of go with it. 1% of each transaction, there's a pool of people that are locked. So of that 1% of the transaction, whatever your share of that lock pool is, you get a piece of that.
No, that's not how the locking works. No, the lock is 100% correlated. That's only for holders. Holders get 1% of the 5% fee. Stakers get another 1% of the 5% fee. A staker can then choose to lock to protect themselves from themselves.
That's what I meant, staking. Sorry, staking.
Okay, correct. Yes.
Yes, I meant staking, not locked.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, when you're staking, I'm just trying to give him the example of, because he's saying 1%. It's very similar to how Hex is kind of confusing, where everyone thinks you get 40%, but it's really not that. It's just that of that pool, the stakers get 1%. Just like of that pool, 0.5% goes to this. Well, that pool goes to that one. This pool goes to that one. And then you've got people who are just holding, they get the percentage. So if I'm let's say, number one holder, I'm going to get the majority of the percentage. Whatever I'm the percentage of all holders, I'm getting that percentage of the 1% of that transaction.
Yeah, and
the stakers get the other 1%.
Can you give us the numbers, the last numbers on the spreadsheet for holding versus staking versus locking?
Do you want me to read? Do you want me to read it off the wallet, or?
Well, just the percentage. Is it near? Are the lockers earning near around the same, or just a little bit less? Adding that.
A little bit less. I don't have percentages, but I will give you round numbers for all three, starting with holding. And this is you guys got to bear in mind, this is a 1 million pTGC that I'm holding, and it's also staked and locked for 10 years. And I did all of this on the same day. And this was back in February. It has earned 10,300 pTGC for holding, 11,700 for staking, and 6,600 for locking.
There you go.
Gotcha. Yeah, I knew the 1%, like I said, for the holding and staking. I just didn't understand the lock. Is there a stats page that shows like what percentage of people break their lock? Do y'all track that?
We don't have that yet.
Okay. No, but the fact that it's upward of 70% of what people are earning in a hold and a stake position, it's obvious that as people go up, as the price is going up, and this is what we've witnessed, as the price continues to go up, it's like with Hex. People were in so much gains that they could still take the hit on early end staking and be in profits, right? So we see people that staked or locked early on, and as the price goes up, they just can't take it anymore. They're like, they run the numbers and they're like, shit, I'll take the 30% hit, and, I'm taking some profits. That's what happens. It's going to continue to happen. But you can tell between 10,000, 11,000, and basically 7,000. It's still a considerable amount of rewards, especially when you're talking about the X's on those rewards people are receiving.
So it's the same 30% hit whether I lock for 2 months or 10 years?
Correct.
Okay, so it's not like it penalizes you more for a longer.
That's correct. And the nuance to locking too is what a lot of people like to do is they'll take a percentage of their tokens and they'll lock out a certain amount of time. Let's just say 90 days. Once that 90-day lock has become liquid, I call it a liquid lock now, because now you can pull that lock at any time without any penalty, but you can leave that lock in the lock now. It's not like with Hex where you get a penalty. You can leave it in there and still earn rewards as long as you like, right? So that's a nuance to the lock. Once your time is up, you can keep it in there, and it's basically liquid now for you to pull it without penalty. So what people will do is they'll put, let's say, for example, 10% of their bag, they lock it for 90 days. Once that 90 days is up, they lock another 10%, right? But they only have 10% actually locked. The other 10% is now a liquid lock that they can pull without penalty at any time. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand. I did 1 3-month lock one time, but I was like, I have no idea how I'm earning this, but screw it, I'm earning. But I looked at the website and I guess I just missed it. I don't see where it says. I guess I always thought it was part of the 5%, but I just didn't understand. So I appreciate y'all for explaining it.
And see,
Make sure when you lock long, make sure y'all want to do that because you gonna get tested.
Hey, no, I did the 3-month lock. It's already finished. I'm probably just gonna stay staking. I'm over the locks with Hex. I want to keep liquid.
That's kind of the point I'm making. You're gonna get tested.
well, the nice thing about the lock, as you can see, is there's a lot of options that you have. You have optionality in this system to not be illiquid. Even if you lock, you become liquid locked and you can still earn without penalty, right? So you don't have to pull it from that lock. You can just leave it in there and you don't have to touch it. You still earn rewards until for whatever reason you wanted to sell it.
Yeah, I do like the staking approach that I don't have to lock it. Like I said, I'm a little locked out enough with Hex.
Okay. Did Mike? Did somebody else have their hand up? If not, I saw.
I have a question about the providing liquidity. I'm locked, and I'm wondering if I can provide liquidity with my locked tokens.
Yeah, Zen. Mike's asking if he can provide liquidity with his locked tokens. You might want to speak to that.
Hey, Mike. No, you cannot. So once you stake or lock or stake and lock. So I just real quick to recap on what you guys were just talking about. In pTGC, first you hold and then you stake if you want to. When you're staking, you're earning both the holding rewards and the staking rewards. So you're double dipping. And then if you decide to go over to locking as well, you're going to be earning locking rewards, staking rewards, and holding rewards. You're not giving up one for another. You get to make all three. And then those rewards that you're earning are liquid at all times. So you can actually take your APR and live off of it as you get it, instead of having to wait for the lock to finish or close the stake. This is what's different between us and Hex. Is Hex, all your APR stays within the lock and the staking. Ours lands, you just claim it liquid to your wallet. Now back to your question. If you're locked, is like the single-sided staking of pTGC. So no, you cannot go and provide liquidity with it or anything like that. You're going to have to just keep those tokens just in order to do those things. If you're staking pTGC, you will also not be able to add LP. No problem.
Oh, you know, I could add something about what K4K was talking about. You know, I didn't think it was that negative. And then also, there's sort of inflation with pTGC because it's just front loaded. It's the 5% that you pay when you buy. So it's got 5% inflation at the front. You know, so.
No, that's it. The fee cannot be defined as inflation.
Yeah, I mean, it's not inflation. It's not inflation. It just sort of acts like an extra cost.
Inflation specific is, you know, that specific currency, more of it can be created.
Right. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
I found the tagline. Get rid of the meme coin with utility. pTGC, the local top.
Hey, Mando.
What's up, man?
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Richard and his team. The team is all of you. Mando, you can actually tag K4K when you're doing that. Suddenly the app went crazy on in front of me. You can tag K4K when you do that move, when you make that an announcement of the 100 million pulse for Hex, so that he can notice that actually Hex is valuable too.
Well, look, here's and I appreciate the comment, right? Our goal is not to, you know, our goal is not to make K4K feel bad or something for his video, right? I don't believe that his intent was to say anything, you know, Hex is going to collapse. He just wasn't nuanced in what he was saying. So we wouldn't want to do something like that. We're not.
I totally understand, but by motivating people to dump their Hex for pTGC is not a nice move also. So you got to think both sides also, not only one.
We're not seeing that. Like we watch the pools and we're not seeing a bunch of Hex dropped for pTGC. We're not seeing that.
Real quick, Mando. Hey, real quick. So I track like every big buy that comes into pTGC on where that money comes from. It's actually very obvious that a lot of the big buys that have came into pTGC in the last recent weeks have came over the bridge. So these videos that K4K, graphics, us actually growing on this chain is not actually cycling a lot of the current capital here. We're not siphoning from RH. We're actually bringing new capital onto the chain. So I think that's a really huge metric. Like I literally watch this stuff like a hawk because I want to know where this is coming from. None of this money is coming from Hex. This is all coming from Ethereum over the bridge for the most part, which is just super, super powerful. It just means we're kind of doing our part. And then back to the thing about commenting K4K. Honestly, I feel no need in shaming people and trying to call out our own community members. I've already sent a comment in one of his things just saying like, hey, we love RH. And I think that's enough. I think it's pretty drastic to want us to call out people who support us. And I just don't think that was the message he was actually giving out. Like I said, I think he was just doing a comparison based on inflation and deflation. And it just came out a little incorrect.
Yeah. So Mando, I just pinned up his last two tweets.
But to say that people are dumping their Hex for pTGC, honestly, have seen zero of those transactions for the most part. Maybe small ones I haven't looked into, but any of the big,
So, King was talking.
Yeah, King, I just retweeted it. I just retweeted that. If somebody wants to, shove it in the Jumbotron, K4K just put out a whole tweet on, basically he's bullish on X and everything.
No, he said he talked good about his last two tweets. He talked good about pTGC, which I put up in the Jumbotron. Yeah, so maybe he regrets what he said before. Maybe he has a bad taste of what he's put out before. So I don't think there's any need for retaliation or any.
I didn't mean a retaliation, but just like a reference,
Yeah, I'm talking about UFO. I'm just like general.
Yeah. So anyway, moving on. Somebody else have Q&A, question, comment? Thanks, DMF. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Any other hands up, Zen?
Mikey G has his hand raised.
Okay, yeah, because I can't see any hands raised, unfortunately. Mikey G, come on up.
Hello, everybody. Another great week on the mothership. I just have one quick question, and if PDI went to $1, what do we think pTGC would do? Has anybody looked at it?
Somebody has looked at it, and it was before UFO launched, and the idea was that it would be somewhere between a penny and 10 cents.
Right.
Yeah, and that was just with PDI going to $1 and buying into that speculation. If it went to $1, the liquidity pools that alone would become so valuable that let's just leave it at that.
Mike, well, we in pTGC and UFO, we have over 100 million PDI.
Blimey.
So that would make those LP pools add up to roughly, taking out buying and selling and RH's token moving up with it, of course, because then it gets diluted via them fixing pools. But let's just pretend everything moved up equally together. We would have over $200 million in that liquidity pool in PDI.
Blimey. Maybe that's something we should advertise a bit more, because there's a lot of people believe in PDI reaching $1, isn't there? So if PDI gets to $1, we could say pTGC has a good chance of getting to a penny.
So we don't like to make any forward-looking statements, man, right? It's just not a smart thing to do. You can run your own numbers. You can look at the liquidity pools that we currently have paired with PDI, and then you can say, if that liquidity pool did a 400, and I think what is it currently, like a 300 plus 350x from here, that specific liquidity pool would be worth this much. And then you can just, and that doesn't include anything else. So, we don't want to put anything out in that sense. But yes, you can see the blockchain, you can see the pools, you can run the numbers. The numbers that we did run, hypothetically, did put us in that range.
Hold on, man. I'm getting wrecked over here. All I heard is 1 cent, 10 cents. That 1 cent, 10 cent pTGC. Wait, I like to hear some forward numbers. What did you just say, man?
Yeah. So the question that our brother.
I need to hear this number.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. But I couldn't hear the other guys.
So had was if PDI gets $1, because we have 100 million PDI within our LP. Has anybody run the numbers for what that would do to the price of pTGC? And we did run those numbers prior to the launch of UFO. So that would mean that the number would actually be higher than that, but it did put it in the 1 to 10 cent range.
Of like pTGC?
Correct.
That's a vote. That's $1.
It's a $200 million liquidity pool if it goes to that currently.
That's the most bullish thing on Pulse Chain at the moment, I think.
I think the most bullish thing.
I mean, that is actually the people who hate on PDI. That would be the better play. As much as I want people to go on PDI, to go on the pTGC, because that would be your true insurance play.
Well, not only that, you're earning yield, you're deflationary, you're constantly adding liquidity, which is the only thing that matters.
Yeah,
right?
so if you're skeptical on PDI and you're like, I ain't gonna go there, it would be smart to be like, hey, these guys got $200 million or 200 million PDI LP pool. So if it goes there, you're going to get gains off of it. If it doesn't go there, I'm still in a better situation because it's paired with Hex or Pulse Chain or whatever I like. So your insurance play on PDI is pTGC. The best insurance play on PDI is pTGC.
And very much the same way as, if you believe in RH tickers,
Correct.
It's a great option.
Yeah.
Oh.
Correct.
Yeah, so just to give people just the understanding of the numbers, so 15 million PDI currently, which is burnt with pTGC, and then with UFO, there is 93 million PDI with UFO in that liquidity pool. So those are the numbers for you. And that currently it's there.
However, the UFO is removable. The pTGC is not.
Yes, correct.
Correct.
So you got to put that in consideration too. Okay. All right, thanks. Because realistically, that's going to be hard. Yeah, like you said, it's going to be hard to really come up with a number because realistically, if PDI is moving up, the question is, how many of that $93 million is going to say, oh, well, let me take my money and change that, or how many people are going to just stay there and stick with it? You got to put that in consideration when you're.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but also you have to think about taking into consideration if more people actually added to that pool.
Correct.
Essentially, because if you're in that pool and you go through the DApp, you're earning pulse, and also at the same time you're earning the V2 fees on top of that. So essentially, it's like, where else would you want to put your PDI to work, or your E-hex to work, or your P-hex to work, or your ink to work, to just give you passive pulse? And let's just say hypothetically, just throwing out some hypothetical numbers, is like, if you have a liquidity pool of $100,000 to $500,000 paying you passive pulse, imagine what kind of numbers of pulse you're actually going to be receiving, and just realizing that kind of concept as well with the UFO protocol. So those are some of
this, man. This is the big obvious, especially if you're in this room right now, and especially for those people who've been in pTGC and PDI early. That is a top 50 PDI LP holder, I guess you can say. 93 million PDI. I don't think people realize how much PDI could be taken off the market. So when I hear people talk about, PDI won't get to $1, this and that, that is going to be, pTGC is a big portion of PDI being taken off the market, not to mention whatever Richard Hart or OA or Maria or whoever you want to talk about protocol that probably is going to help PDI be taken off the market. I do think something's coming speculatively on that part. But basically, when you put it all into play, pTGC, I didn't realize it was that with UFO was that much PDI taken off the market. That's a lot. That's a top 50. There's not many people that have 93 million PDI as a whole. So the more that grows, the more you probably should be taking your eye towards PDI and saying, like, how much of this PDI is actually taken off the market that won't be sold. And on top of that, that's going to help PDI which in short is going to help pump pTGC and UFO. So,
And that's the beauty.
A lot of people don't
liquidity,
see
man.
that. Like, that's pretty big news. Better like that. I think that's even better than, hey, this is going to be this price, because that's a very speculative that can go in and out, in and out, in and out. But also know they're going to be paying those big old fees to get that out of there, which is all going to pump pTGC. So like,
Yeah, the mothership, it just benefits.
the higher fee line goes, if someone wants to take that LP out, boy, oh boy, like that's gonna be a crazy amount of like fees just freaking just pumping pTGC.
And guys, this is all a amazing conversation, but this is prior to Pulse Chain going berserk. This is all happening with our underlying L1 just chilling flatline down here at this double bottom. When Pulse Chain turns around, we're all going to be in here having a completely different conversation. When and if.
And then just to add to the conversation too, with Atropa 2, we have about 2.6 million Atropa in there with pTGC, which is all of it is burnt, and that liquidity pool is 115K currently right now, where it stands. Just want to add that little cherry on top.
Guys, put your hand up. Any questions? Do you have while we're here? Then how much more time do we have? Just so that people know, how much more time are you good with, so we can try to fit in the rest.
If we could end in 20 minutes, that would probably be good for me.
Is there anybody with their hands up?
Yeah, gold, I think, or maybe it's God.
Yeah,
God.
one and two out. It says God money is what the symbol is. But what's up, guys? So I just heard it, and I was just trying to get like a 30-second elevator pitch. I know it's deflationary. I know you get the penalties from other people, but if you guys can talk a little more about like I guess the elevator pitch of it, like why would I want to buy it? Is it just like years down the line? Why would I still want to buy it? Or yeah, go ahead.
Jan, did you hear that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so real quick, what we figured out here is we found a way to gain value off of what the market is known to do. So the market is known to go up and down. There's no guarantee of up or down. But we found a way to siphon the money from the market moving up and down and bring it back to one or two assets, pTGC and UFO. So the guarantee is the market's going to move up and down, and we know that. So we make value off of that, and we bring it back to tokens like pTGC and UFO, and we use that value to push the price up of pTGC. And when we push the price up of pTGC, we raise the price of the token, we deflate supply, and then we increase your position side via reflections. If you add all those things back together, you pretty much take any amazing thing you could find in any crypto, you could take the positive, you could look at any crypto, and you just made it better. And it pretty much creates an end-all be-all token that beats, I think, almost everything. And then on top of that, we have an X multiplier scenario to where if anything we're connected to succeeds, we get all those X's plus the X's we do on our own. So for an example, if Pulse Chain does a 10X and we do a 10X from here, pTGC holders just did 100X. Now let's say you think PLS is going to do 100X and we do a 10X. Well, then you just did 1,000X. And it's that simple. And it's all getting backed by more liquidity with every transaction, and more of the supply is getting taken off with every transaction. And no human interaction is needed for this to happen, because we take the market moving and we monetize it into a token.
Yeah, so can you talk about more how do you monetize it per se? Or where you get the value from? In the beginning you were saying you take the value from the market being volatile, I believe, or something along those lines.
Yeah, from the market being volatile or just volume in the market. We were able to do that because ultimately we put up the money at the beginning to create market makers on Pulse Chain. And as a market maker, you get paid. And ultimately, we made the market makers burnt with pTGC to where those market makers are making money and bringing back value to pTGC. This actually happens in all of crypto. The normal. Don't worry about the kids. You're good. This happens with all of crypto. Hey, and if you finish this off, you can just tell them how the centralized exchanges do this all day, every day. You just don't get the money they do.
Good, man. Yeah. So at the end of the day, the protocol is taking advantage of market making and arbitrage opportunity. As the liquidity pools on Pulse Chain, as things go up and down, there's volatility in those markets. The volatility in the liquidity pools create arbitrage opportunities so that you have market makers that have to rebalance the pools across the chains, across the pools. Our protocol is designed to capitalize on the arbitrage market making opportunities within the liquidity webs of pTGC and UFO. And there's a lot of other things that pair with us as well because of the success of the protocol. So anytime somebody pairs with us, any volatility in those pools, because we charge a fee, the arbitrage market makers actually have to pay our protocol to actually make money to rebalance the pools. We take that and we don't only put it back into pTGC and UFO, which benefits, but we also put it back into things like buying up the HEX chart, buying up the PDI chart, buying up the PulseX chart, buying up all RH tickers, and anything that we feel as an organization that we feel has real value for the holders of pTGC. Everything's decentralized, everything's audited, everything's been running perfectly for almost 12 months now. And so that's why you have a revenue generating system, and that revenue goes 100% back to the holders and back to the system itself to constantly add more liquidity and value, not only to pTGC, but to the things that it decides to pair itself with.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I know about market making and all of that and PDI. I just thought it was the way it was worded. It just sounded like, I guess, more glamorous or whatever. But why was the UFO token introduced? I'm not sure if that was stated.
Yeah, so the UFO token was created essentially as a super amplification token for the pTGC ecosystem. And it was designed to further build and create a larger liquidity web within the ecosystem that incentivizes people to provide liquidity with Richard Hart tickers and the core ticker of the Atropa ecosystem, which is PDI. And what it does is it incentivizes you to purchase our tickers and RH tickers and pair it and earn passive pulse chain yield. So you're incentivized to actually help us create a larger liquidity web, and we pay you in pulse chain yield to do it. At the same time, the value of your tickers are going up in terms of the UFO or the pTGC. So it's a system that's designed to reward people to help enlarge our liquidity web, which helps us generate more revenue for the system.
Yeah, I get it. I guess it's kind of like the Atropa PDI system. Sounds similar to that.
Yeah, it's not the same. It's definitely different. I mean, I can't take my Atropa and pair it with something in that sense over there and earn passive income.
Right? Yeah. I guess so. I mean, I guess if you're not doing liquidity, I guess so. So, I guess
also, if you just purchase UFO and you just hold it and you don't use it for the liquidity providing with the UI, you're earning passive UFO. You're actually earning UFO just trustlessly in your wallet just for holding it.
Oh, you said in the UI, so you have to you have to connect like soft stake or something?
Yeah, so if you own pTGC or UFO, if you just hold, you're earning more of it.
Oh, okay.
if you take that UFO and you pair it with any of the tickers in the UI, you're no longer earning the UFO. Now you're earning liquidity pool fees and the passive pulse chain.
Gotcha. Okay. Is there a thread you guys have that that sums it up, or anybody written over the 12 months?
Yeah, so just go into the TG and request the light paper for both pTGC and UFO, and you'll be able to read through all of the details. And then I would highly recommend you go to Cryptographics YouTube channel and watch his recent amazing videography videos on both systems.
Cryptographic? Okay.
Correct, Cryptographics.
Okay. And one last question. I see you guys had like an all-time high February 29th, and then it pretty much was, I guess, pretty much dipped. What do you think caused that dip based off of everything you described? Because you say you make money off volume and liquidity.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, when Pulse Chain went up in price, okay, so we have to talk about the liquidity pools when you're asking that question. So if you look back to the run up, that's when Pulse Chain itself ran up in price. And it went the 3 zeros and a 2, right?
In February? Okay, I didn't know. I don't really, I have this.
At the same time, that's also when PDI made its blow off top run and wicked up amazingly as well. So the underlying liquidity pools back then, being with RH tickers, actually started to go up. We had an amazing run. Then it came all the way back down. Our liquidity pools are directly correlated and connected to RH tickers and the Atropa ecosystem. When they come down, it pulled us back down with it. But if you notice, if you look on the chart, not the USD chart, but if you flip it to pTGC against Pulse Chain, right? Even though we've gone down on the USD chart and now we're going back up, the whole time, even from that downturn, we were going up against Pulse Chain itself. So you can look at the USD chart, which we're doing amazing with now, but you can also look at, you have to look at the underlying liquidity pools and look at the chart of pTGC against that ticker that we're paired with in the pool. The entire time, even though Pulse Chain was going down, we were moving up on the trend line against Pulse Chain. You can see that very clearly. I mean, we're at like what, 2.34 to 1 now at this point. When it started, people laughed at us when they told us that, when we told them that we thought that we'd hit parity with Pulse Chain pretty quickly. And in 11 months, we're at almost 2.5 to 1 now.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah, so pretty much the answer to your question is the only reason we went down is because Pulse Chain dragged us down.
Correct.
Take out the factor of Pulse Chain going down, we're actually only up and to the right.
So if we're going up, because that's the same thing that Richard Hart was saying, that we're only going up to the right. And if you do flip it, but ultimately what most people do is compare it into USD. So yeah, you may be able to buy more of another asset or whatever, and you're looking bullish on there. But so I guess it's like if Pulse can keep going down, and I mean I know that he's going through his litigation, so he probably will win the case. But I was just saying hypothetically, if he does lose, I think that's kind of bearish sentiment. So everything, the arbitrage and the market making is only on Pulse Chain, or is it cross chain? Is it on ETH also, or another chain?
Let me ask you this. If ETH crashed today, do you think PLS would crash?
Yeah.
Because everything's connected in liquidity, right? If ETH ran up today, do you think PLS would run up today?
Yeah, relatively, yeah.
Relatively, because everything's connected via liquidity. So any market move that happens in not even just crypto, but in markets in general, everything is for the most part correlated. And there's a ripple effect that goes even across blockchains. So we capitalize on the whole entire market moving, but yes, our specific pairs are specific on Pulse Chain.
I got you. I was just saying the Black Swan event with Richard Hart, not the whole crypto market. That's what I was saying with.
Well, there's nothing that's going to stop Pulse Chain. Pulse Chain's more decentralized than pretty much any other blockchain in the world. You can't stop. It's just like Ethereum. It's just like Bitcoin. They went after the Bitcoin. They went after Ethereum. They're going after everybody. I mean, it's not just Richard Hart. It's like join the club now. Everybody's getting sued by the SEC, Matt.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah, I think I get your point though. Like, are we worried about RH blockchain not doing good or a Black Swan event? This is how I look at it. Is in the pTGC community, we have complete control over all of our gains. So if we believe in this ecosystem and we want to run up 100x without Pulse Chain, we're going to run up 100x without Pulse Chain. It has nothing to do with RH. We are our own specific token. But if RH decides to pump his chain, we get all the benefits of that. If he pumps his chain 10x, we get a 10x multiplier to all the x's we do in the meantime. So if we do a 10x right in the next 6 months and Pulse Chain does a 10x, pTGC holders just did 100x. If he doesn't do a 10x, we still at least did our 10x. So we have actually control of our fate. We're putting the ball in our court and we're doing our own game. If he wants to win his also, he also just makes us win even harder. And that's what I like. I like knowing that us as a small community actually have control of our exits instead of being dependent on Sack Daddy to pump our backs. We have control of our success.
And that's what you're witnessing right now. Because even though Pulse Chain's continuing to find lower lows, the ecosystem's doing the exact opposite. But you can't stop Pulse Chain.
Yeah, no. I've been in crypto like 2016. I know you can't stop the chain. I was just, you can make it difficult on and off ramps. I would just watch and listen to people on complaining about Unisat not allowing them to transfer the hex. I'm pretty much over hex anyway. I like other tokens. I'm in PDI and Teddy Bear and stuff like that.
There's nobody that stopped it, that stopped anything regarding hex. You can't stop hex.
Well, on Uniswap on the main.
Yeah, Uniswap just took the ticker, took the logo off, but they can't even stop you from doing transactions on Uniswap.
Yeah.
Wise platform.
Yeah. I was just referring to like on and off ramps. If you're a noob and then you look, you don't see it, then sometimes they give up, But no, I'm with you. But yeah, it sounds like a good project. I'm hop in the Telegram. Who has it? I can click his profile. Let's see. This is different. Oh yeah, I see it. Appreciate you guys.
I appreciate you, man. And like I said, come into TG, grab the light papers for both. You can probably get through both of them in 15 minutes. You'll enjoy the read. It's a very easy read. Watch cryptographics videos. You'll feel much more armed with the information you might need.
Yep, I'll check it out.
Appreciate you.
And as far as the SEC goes, there are plenty of people that have lost to the SEC, such as like Library and what's the other one that lost $1 billion? I'm thinking of. Anyway, there's other people that did that, but you can still trade the token and off ramp into Ethereum if you wanted to do that. Like it's
Vertavio?
No, I'm talking about the one that raised $2 billion and lost. EOS. You can still. EOS. You can still go on EOS and do whatever you want to do with it, and trade it if you want to do that. If there was ever a community on EOS, then obviously they would still be able to do what they're doing. But EOS is still a $700 million market cap coin, so it's still ranked in the top 100 in loss, and Pulse Chain's not even in the top 100. So that just goes to show you that the whole idea of the off ramp, on ramp, that's a prime example of someone who lost to the SEC and still a top 100 coin. And tradable on Gate.io, Binance, LBank, BitMEX, MAFC, BingX, Bybit, and 23 pages of exchanges.
There you have it. Yeah, from what I understand, the odds of winning an SEC case are about 3%. Richard Hart, however, with the team that he's got, I give him a much higher chance. We are coming up at the top of the hour, and we are going to.
Let's try to, if everyone could ask their question in a minute, we have 3 people if they want to try to shoot it out real quick, Banana.
Okay.
I'll say one thing real fast, just so people know this, because it is kind of important.
Okay.
EOS is actually still on Coinbase. That's kind of surprising. I didn't know. That just shows you on and off ramp of a company that's an American traded company, and SEC won that lawsuit, and they're still on Coinbase.
Great information, B.
Yeah.
Hey, I just have a quick question about like the pulse chain to pTGC ratio and like how it deals with liquidity pools. I know like B. Root just talked about it a lot. Like it just doesn't, the TA does not act like normal TA. Right now we're at 2.3 whatever to 1. I mean, there's a retest at like 0.7. Is that even possible with the way the liquidity pools even work? Trying to understand more of that.
Don't even try to do it, man. Don't even. I don't even do TA on it.
Hey, there's a magic down there from like.
You ready for this? Since you're a subscriber, you should know what I'm about to say. Have a plan. Do what you're gonna do when it gets to that number, and then keep it moving. Don't try to chime it, and don't try to be a TA, guys. You're gonna get wrecked. There are 2 individuals that are highly talked about in this community of Pulse Chain that publicly just got wrecked. So don't even try it.
Just
don't
remember,
even try to understand it.
Just remember, every transaction, brother, is not only burning these tokens, but is also putting those tokens into strong hands. Okay, so you know you keep removing tokens out of the market. You're looking at, I think, what is it right now? 7 billion tokens in the LPs. So yes, obviously somebody can choose to sell, and it can come back down. But when it does that, what happens? A large percentage of the tokens are burned forever, and a large percent of the tokens are removed from the market and put into strong hands who aren't selling anything. So you end up with a higher price floor. That's why on the chart you keep seeing anytime there's a drawdown of any type after a parabolic move, you have a landing at a higher price floor every time. Why? Because that much more tokens has been either burned out of existence or is in strong hands now that aren't selling.
I'm calling it right now. Versus Pulse Chain. We're going to be talking about this a lot in the next year. We are about to see, not financial advice. Please do not take this as financial advice. This is all speculation. 100%. I feel we are about to see the largest hockey stick you've ever seen in your life. And I'm not joking one bit. Like it gets to the point, yeah, there will be corrections. You'll see a couple of red candles, but when you zoom out and literally see it a year, 2 years from now, you're gonna be like, fuck. And that's all those people are gonna be like, damn. And they all got screenshots and receipts because it's literally set for those people, the coins that they shill, when they are right, they're going to be ultra wrong with some of the stuff they say. So that's why I say the local top that keeps on top. People don't realize that in crypto, it's not rare to see it, but you do see it at times. You hear Richard Hart talk about like that hockey stick. I think he has that one GIF where he like does the little arm thing and then the rocket goes off like that. GIF from Richard Hart. I think that's what we're experiencing right now against Pulse Chain. That's the
And
US
just-
dollar check.
And just too, like at this point, like me personally, my mindset is, I wish some bigger players would sell, because if they did, that means that we can buy more pTGC off the market for cheaper, and provide LP faster, right? And it would pay the system that much more pulse to keep going. But I just think that, and I'm not saying one thing over the other, but I think that the bigger holders who've been selling $30,000 clips here, $30,000 clips here constantly, I think that they've realized that they weren't valuing the token properly at this point. You know, so I actually hope people start to sell. It just strengthens the system. But I just don't know of the top whatever wallets. I just don't know who's willing to part with that much anymore. It's getting very interesting. Okay, we had two more questions then. Who are they?
I don't know. One more hand. The other guy might have left, but I think it's blockchain. I can't see the rest. Purple background.
What's up, Bob?
Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's up, P-Roots, Ian, everybody in the chat? I got a question about the relativistic price of UFO and pTGC. I've held pTGC for a long time, like early days. Haven't still got it, but a number of people in my group that I'm trying to get them into pTGC ecosystem, telling about UFO, they're looking at it, obviously the market cap differentials at this point, they're looking and saying, well, should I get into UFO or pTGC 50-50? What's the split? What's the ratio going to be? So if pTGC goes up to like, $1 billion or 100 million, let's say, what type of market cap might we be looking at based on liquidity for UFO? Obviously no forward-facing guidance or financial plans here, but just a relative idea, if you will, in terms of what the ratio might be. Thanks very much for taking the question, guys.
Yeah, I can't really answer that question, but I will say this. They're both very, very different. In my opinion, they're both awesome in their own way. PEC is kind of like almost like the Pulse X, where you got the single-sided staking and it's a huge buy and burn on it. And then it's just, plus it's a micro cap instead of Pulse X is already a pretty large market. And then UFO, an example, in my opinion, is it's a farm, but instead of pairing two already very highly priced tokens together, what you're doing is you're connecting one side of it to an absolute micro cap with tokenomics that have been designed to also make it run up in price and make a bunch of exits. So it's, in my opinion, impossible to say which one will do more, and anyone that tells you that are just guessing and trying to push you in a certain direction. I put a lot of care in the design of both of them, and I think they'll both do very well. That's about it. Someone else could kind of tap in on it.
Yeah.
I would say that it's just important to note that, for me, when I'm sharing, it all starts with the mothership, just because that's where the conversation begins, just from a protocol vantage point, right? But yeah, to answer the question, it's an impossibility.
If you wanted to look at an entry point in terms of how much of the supply you can get, a dolphin position in pTGC right now will cost you $1,800. A dolphin position in UFO will cost 5 times less, $340.
What is the whale position in pTGC right now?
$180,000.
And what is a whale position for UFO?
Sure, 1 second. $34,000.
Yeah, so, anybody looking at that, obviously, if they're looking at potentially entering, would have to look at that portfolio and then decide for themselves what ratio would be allocated to either or.
Perfect. Thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Sure, you're welcome.
I think that's it, Prairie.
I agree.
How
That's
much
good.
is needed? How much is needed? That's only kind of funny. How much is needed for pTGC to start pulling pulse chain up?
Well,
I think
How crazy would that be?
Come on. Now you're talking like hell cannot wax. You'd have
I figure he had on like that. That's all. Just playing around.
the dog wags the tail don't wag the dog, man. Let's be real. So anyway, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you to everybody who showed up. B-Roots, thanks for showing up. Everybody who came up to ask questions. We're gonna keep doing this, and congratulations to anybody who's been involved. Everything is going well. We're gonna go and put out a nice tweet when we add some more Hex liquidity here. And please feel free to follow us on X, get into the TG, get involved, and if you got anything, feel free to jump in and ask your questions.
Yep. And we're going to jump over into anybody that's interested. We're jumping over into the Telegram chat. I'll open up the voice and we'll talk about marketing right after this call.
Awesome. Okay, guys. Sam, you got a last thing? Or are we good?
No, this has been a long space for me, so I'm gonna go enjoy my Saturday with my family.
Okay, brother. Appreciate you coming out, man. We'll talk to everybody later. Have a good weekend.
See you guys. Okay, peeps. Thanks for being here. I'm going to end it 3 hours and 6 minutes. And then we'll, if you guys want to jump over into the Telegram, we're going to open up space and talk about marketing pTGC and UFO. See you there.